Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nerd's Eye View, a gaming-centric podcast. This is episode 2, and we're going to be talking about knockoff E3. Ain't that right, Connor?
Sure is, Pierce.
Mm-hmm. So the last couple of weeks, we have been watching just kind of like casually. I didn't get time to sit down and actually watch the showcases themselves. And the showcases we're going to be talking about in today's episode are the Xbox Games Showcase, State of Play, and Summer's Games Fest, where it revealed some new games as well as show some more gameplay of previous announced games that are going to be coming in 2024 and into 2025. So, I have to say, this year is different for us because normally in previous years we would have E3, which is the acronym for what?
Um, I honestly don't know.
I
It's
think
like
I think it's Electronic Expo. I know
I,
those two
I
are in
think
it.
that, yeah,
But the main thing is that we would know is that it would showcase video games from the three main publishers: Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox throughout the last couple of years.
yeah, and it just kind of seemed to disappeared. I remember there was some controversies,
Right.
maybe like 2 years back.
I
It kind of just, I think it kind of died out due to COVID because when everybody started switching to digitally presenting their stuff, they realized, hey, this kind of works better than spending all this money for this presentation. And one of the big things was Nintendo was the first to drop out.
actually I think I believe it was Sony or Nintendo. I think you are right. And Nintendo basically did like their directs and it lined up with E3
Yeah,
essentially. But I remember Sony being the bigger player that dropped out of E3.
yeah, and once all the main three like uh console publishers dropped out, all the other publishers did too.
Right.
And now we've kind of have this everyone's doing their own uh broadcasts
Hmm.
all during the same time of E3. So it's basically just discount E3.
Yeah, and what we remember from E3, I hate this because I never got the privilege to actually go in person to E3, is that most what would happen in E3, you would have like actual physical scenery of the game that each company was promoting. You can actually there were several years where the public could actually wait in line and test out the game at the conference, as well as press reviewing demo builds of the game that of the games that were going to come and release in the fall. And it was a very cool event to see gamers as well as maybe cosplayers or any other fandom come to this expo and just celebrate games and just the different franchises that we all know and love.
Yeah, it we do kind of I do kind of miss the hands-on review uh reviewers inputs on these games as they're announced
Mm,
because we don't get that many playable demos from these sporadic directs. I'm
right.
just gonna call them all directs
Yeah,
because
because essentially that's what it is. Because
yeah,
Nintendo really established a well formula, and over the years they honed it, and now publishers see that it is a good marketing tool to get games out there and let people come to your event. And there are both positives and negatives to come from that for me.
yeah, but yeah, it does feel like this isn't as big of an event as E3 was because I would I would remember everyone being excited, people physically going and getting live reactions, crowd reactions to games. I remember the Devil May Cry 5 reveal.
Oh yeah, 2018. I remember watching that video, or at least crowd reactions of that, and it was very cool to see that.
Yeah, I do miss that of the this just excuse me of this current style of just oh it's just a video you watch on your
Hmm.
phone.
Yeah, and I I will watch E3, especially specifically Xbox's E3 presence because around the time I wasn't having the PC that I do now, and I will also have my Switch at the time during like 2016 to 2019. That was the years where I was actively wanting to watch E3 and
Yeah.
just slowly getting into gaming culture and just watching gaming news and how the industry goes and reacts. And I do want to ask this, Connor. Do you have a vivid E3 memory that you want to share?
I've never been to E3,
Mm.
but the one thing like that came to my mind when you said it was the Lego McLaren that they did for like an expansion for Forza.
Oh, really?
For Forza Horizon 4, I think it was. Yeah, 4.
Mm.
It was a Lego expansion where you could like drive Lego cars.
Mm.
And so on state, Microsoft always did this with Forza. They would just bring out the cover car.
I remember, I think they were promoting Motorsport 7, and then they just brought out this giant car on stage. And I could be wrong. It could be some of the other motorsports, but anytime they had the opportunity to showcase a car, they did it.
But this time around, instead of having an actual car, they had a Lego replica of the cover car for Forza Horizon 4.
Mm.
It's just kind of like fun. But yeah, that's something I remember. The Devil May Cry reveal too. That's like that was hype in definition.
Oh yeah, because Devil May Cry up until that point was dormant for so long, and to see May Cry is coming back is insane.
I feel like Devil May Cry is just gonna be that franchise where like it's gonna be in dormancy for a while, and then it will drop another hype ass game.
Yeah, funny enough, Capcom recently ran a uh polling thing
I have,
to see what
I,
fans were interested in and what games they want to see in the future, and Devil May Cry was one of the top ones.
yeah, I think I saw that, and I also saw that Dino Crisis was like number two.
I think Mega Man is in there too.
Yeah, and like Dino Crisis is in one of those like spheres of games where it's like people love Dino Crisis, and when I mean they love it, they love Dino Crisis.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a JRPG fan. Like they had that. I have my JRPGs that I love, but I have like multiple of them. Say I could say that some JRPG fans, if they're like really into the series, they'll tell you that they're into the series and try to get you into it. Then again, I'm guilty of this.
Yeah, but yeah, but yeah, that's just my experience with E3. I've never been there. I've never like physically met anyone there,
Mm,
but it does feel like we're missing that kind of event that E3 drew with these like new like studio directs.
right. My E3 memory, and like you, I never went, as I
Yeah,
say before. I watched it all online. I watched the live streams. Sometimes I would watch the ones directly from the publisher's YouTube channel. I think more recently I would rather watch it with somebody reacting because I liked seeing reactions and it gives this feeling like, oh, I'm watching it with somebody when normally I would be doing this by myself. And I remember 2017 or I don't know, it may have been 2018 or no, no, no. I think it was 2019. It was the Microsoft Xbox Showcase or E3 event, and they were showing off Cyberpunk 2077.
oh yeah, I remember that trailer too.
Mm-hmm. I was watching it live. I was already invested in Cyberpunk 2077 with the 2018 E3 demo that they showed the previous E3 before. and I was on the hype train. Like I'm ready to try this game out. Like I even bought The Witcher 3 before Cyberpunk even released to see what CD Projekt was good at, or their previous games, and see if they're really that good. Spoiler alert: Witcher 3 is awesome, and that'll be a whole other topic on its own. Or I think I mentioned that in the last episode, I believe.
Yeah, I think he did
Right.
mention Witcher. Yeah.
But again, if we do want to do a replay, like an episode of us replaying games and like replaying our old favorites just to see if they hold up, I would. I'm pretty sure The Witcher 3 would still hold up for me.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that, replay one of my favorites again soon with one of the announcements they made.
Mm,
It's like during the Xbox showcase.
mm.
But yeah, that does sound like a good topic for us to do that will give us new perspectives on our favorites.
Oh yeah, because it'll help us see past potentially rose tinted glasses that we may have.
Hmm.
But 2019 was the reveal of Keanu Reeves playing the legendary Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077. But what made this really more special was around the time that I was getting into Keanu Reeves as an actor, because my dad had shown me John Wick 1 around that time, and he was getting me into the John Wick franchise. To see that one of my favorite, one a really good movie and a really good actor that I liked, as well as like an actor that my dad even liked, was really hype and insane to me. Like they got Keanu Reeves in this, and then not to mention the spur of the moment reaction he had to it's what was the meme? It was
It's like You're Beautiful too.
it's something like that. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I know exactly what like he points back at the crowd and he says to one fan that said, "You're all you're amazing," or something with a positive adjective right there. I don't
Yeah.
remember exact quote, but what was cool is seeing everyone's reaction. Like the camera pans out and you see his actual reaction. And what's cool is that after that showing, CD Projekt Red even sent the crowd member that said that to Keanu during the show. I think they sent him a legendary edition of Cyberpunk 2077.
Ah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. That was just one a really good hype moment for me. I think another one that comes close was same year the Nintendo Direct of 2019, where the sequel to Breath of the Wild was just announced.
Oh yeah, that the
Dude,
Tears of
go ahead.
reveal was. I remember seeing that everywhere when it got announced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, 2019. The more we talk about E3, the more like moments we remember
Mm-hmm.
instead of like exactly the games themselves, which
Right.
is kind of something which is something that I do miss a lot. Like I can hear Keanu Reeves just saying, "Check this
No,
out."
you're breathtaking. That's it. You're breathtaking.
Breathtaking. Breathtaking. Yep.
Dang, I hate that it took me so long to figure that out. But yeah, he said, "You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking." And it's just like, yeah, everyone's hyped up in that moment because he's like a genuine guy, like a
Uh,
very cool actor and whatnot.
he's a just a bundle of charisma.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And that, those two E3 memories are ones that'll stick with me just because of the sheer hype I got around of seeing those games. And one being my anticipated game of 2020 that would be delayed and eventually launch broken. And another one that would be the sequel to one of my favorite Zelda games that I have ever played. And it's just like that's insane. Like to have the Xbox showcase, then Nintendo Direct after that. 2019 was a good year for showing off games, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But that's just some of our memories of E3, which takes us to current day where we have the different showcases like Summer Games Fest, the Xbox Showcase, and the State of Play.
Yeah.
So, Connor, do you want to go? How you want to do this? Do you want to go in chronological order of the State of Play, Summer Games Fest, and Xbox Showcase, or do we just want to talk about the games of each showcase that interest us?
I feel like chronological
Mm-hmm.
because I haven't watched the first two showcases. I know like some of the key games that got released
Mm-hmm.
that got announced,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a lot more to say about games that were announced in the Xbox
Right.
presentation. So kind of like back ending that.
Okay.
Good.
So we'll start with the State of Play, and one game in particular that came to mind. It was the first game revealed in the State of Play was Concord, which is Sony's new 5v5 player Overwatch like game that's going to be exclusive to PlayStation and will be coming to PC later this year. In fact,
The hero shooter games boom that's been happening now, like with Marvel Rivals, which
right?
also got an announcement here.
Yeah,
Con
like there were several hero shooters announced in this one direct, which is
and
very interesting.
I was wondering, where were y'all in 2016?
It's
Like,
just like Overwatch. Overwatch is still kicking, even though it's not as big as it was in its heyday, and y'all are still in this trend.
yeah, it's just a weird like coincidence that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Another coincidence that I noticed is that we're getting a lot of like Kyoto Japan styled third person action adventure games.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ghost of Tsushima, Rise of the Ronin, Wolong Dynasty. Like those are four right off the bat. Oh,
Yeah,
Uh, Dynasty Warriors got revealed in this one. I think it's Dynasty Warriors Origins. I saw that game. I thought that would look pretty cool because I played War. I haven't played Warriors games, but I played Muso games before. Say Hyrule Legends 1 and 2, and I think another one that I know Warriors was the big one that I played. There's probably a Musa game that I'm not thinking of right now that I played, but those are good fun. I've always heard like Dynasty Warriors is a more realistic kind of historical fiction Muso games, and to see like the graphical power, or at least how graphically good looking it was for a Musa game like that, where normally the art style from what I've seen in previous games is pared back. I think this may be a good game coming up soon.
yeah, yeah. I'm not like discrediting or like saying these games are bad. I'm just saying a lot of these. It was just a lot of games that had like the same kind of like visual style are like releasing around the same time,
Mm,
and that's just it's not bad. It's just a strange thing, kind of like a coincidence.
mm.
Um, but yeah, what else was like shown in like the state of play?
Good question. I know Concord because I saw it and I immediately groaned while watching it because I was like, here we go. Because hero shooters are not for me.
Yeah, they they're just also Valve announced another hero shooter too.
Uh, it it sounds familiar, but I can't remember off the tip of my tongue.
I don't remember its name. It just looked so painfully like bland.
Mm.
But yeah,
It could be good for all we know. Concord could be good for all we know. It just
it's
hasn't released yet, but it's just the it just comes off so corporatized.
yeah, it just feels really just oh, Overwatch became this massive hit. Let's just do what Overwatch did.
Right. Like it's not. It gives off the feeling that it's made because this is what players like. Supposedly, let's try that instead of saying, "Oh, we wanted to make this game because we think it would be a fun experience because we enjoy these types of games," and not like it's purely out of passion, not trying to get money, even more money out of the player.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of like games that just reek of like, hey, let's make money, the Silent Hill 2 remake.
I mean,
Uh,
do you have
yeah,
any opinions on this? Because I am not a horror genre type of person. I've heard good things about Silent Hill 2, especially the original one.
Silent Hill 2, the original one, you can't play like at all without like sailing the seven seas. Because the remat the HD remake, well not remake, remaster, Konami released like scuffed everything up so badly. Like the main thing about Silent Hill 2 is the fog, and they kind of like ruined the fog
You
with
think
like
so in
the
this remake?
not in the remake. It was like in the early 2000s they did a re-release. Like you can't play the original Silent Hill 2 at all.
Right.
You have to like play the bad like console. It's not even a console port. The thing that with Silent Hill 2 that happened is that Konami just lost the source code. But and like they couldn't like get into the knee deeps of like the game.
Mm.
So a lot of visual stuff and I think some gameplay stuff too in the HD remastered from like 2002, I think, is just really uh subpar to the original game. And this remake, I haven't been keeping a close eye to it, but it really feels like Konami saw Resident Evil 2 remake become a massive hit, and let's like they were like, "Oh, we have a horror game. Let's just remake that."
Mm. And it's
And
being remade by Blooper Team, who I believe did Layers of Fear 1 and 2, as well as Xbox exclusive for time Xbox exclusive called, and I forgot the name. I know,
uh, medium,
huh?
medium,
Yeah, I think that's it. Because I remember the joke was is that the name is accurate because it really does feel like a medium rated game.
yeah. Silo 2, I I don't think it's gonna be like offensively bad. I just think it would just be kind of like mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting into this like remake era of like
Mm-hmm.
video games where
Right.
we're not getting anything really new. We're just getting old games just with like a new coat of paint over them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like some games that works for like I do think Sonic 02 could like have a great remake, but it just feels like Konami they I don't trust their games. Like I got put up that sealed, and they're also remaking Metal Gear Solid 3.
Right. Metal Gear Delta Snake Eater.
And the thing about the two remakes they have is that they're doing their most popular games in their reflected franchises, which I would kind of. The thing I thought in Resident Evil remakes did good is that they didn't immediately jump to Resident Evil 4 to remake it. They started off with like the first game, Resident Evil. They remade that one, and it led to them remaking Resident Evil 2 on their new engine, the RE engine, which Capcom uses for everything now.
essentially.
But yeah, it's Silent Hill 2 is just the Silent Hill 2 remake is just gonna be. I'll just have to wait and like play for myself to get my opinions of because I've never played the original, so it would feel kind of disingenuous if I just said, "Oh, new bad, oh good." But like I do want to keep that kind of like my defenses up because it is Konami.
Mm. Yeah, I can understand because I I haven't played these franchises. I do want to get into Metal Gear, but from what I heard, the remastered collection is not like what it technically should be at remaster quality. And I've heard like Konami with the fallout of Kojima and everything surrounding that whole controversy. I think Konami is not going to be what they were back in the early days of gaming, where PlayStation and PlayStation 2 were like big time for them, as well as PlayStation 3. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to be the same company that they were all those years ago, and they're more focusing on pachinko machines as well as mobile games.
but hey man, those like pachinko machines, they make a shitload of money.
Not to
Like
mention, they look some of the animations they do for. I remember watching a pachinko machine animation for Metal Gear Solid 3 with Snake and another prominent character in Metal Gear Solid 3. I was like, this looks very good, but then again, I see where what's being played on, and you can just pull the lever and you see the slots go by. It's just like, you just feel your heart slowly die.
one of the most highest like grossing media device I think of all time is like a Neon Genesis Evangelion pachinko machine. It made so much money. I think it dwarfed every like I think uh, the yearly earnings of like Hollywood. I think I may be getting that wrong, but I just know these things make do
So,
dollars.
and big franchises make pretty good money. Say Grand Theft Auto, for instance.
Yeah.
GTA 5 being re-released so many times, and it still makes money. And it still is before GTA 6 eventually launches in 2025. And we all know that's going to be a cultural phenomenon.
I remember seeing on Twitter somebody bought a PS5 secondhand, and there was a game inside the console that the owner forgot to take out. And when he like took it out to look at it, he realized that it was Skyrim. Todd did it again.
Yeah, there's another remaster. I mean, Todd Howard said we'll stop remastering Skyrim once you stop buying it. He is right. People keep buying it.
Hey, I can play it right now, and I haven't bought it. So like, hey, it just works.
Oh yeah. Literally, it does. So moving on to another game in this state of play. What we got?
Uh oh yeah, Monster Hunter, another like
Oh yeah, I
big
played some Monster Hunter games before. Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate on my 3DS back in the day. Those two, I Monster Hunter I don't think is the franchise for me. I wouldn't hesitate to try it again, especially with Monster Hunter Wilds this time because of it being crossplay with all the different platforms this time. Not to mention looking graphically impressive as they did with Monster Hunter World.
I've played Monster Hunter World a little bit. I was younger and like I had the brain of like I don't want to see all these numbers. I just want to smack lizards.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to try Monster Hunter with friends. Like I would be down to play Wilds with you when it's
Rise is on Game Pass, in fact.
oh yeah.
That could be a game me and you try again. Another co-op game to add to the list. So just
Yes.
to give our listeners some context, me and Connor have been playing a good amount of co-op games. We recently beat Portal 2, which has been fun. And right now
My
we're
first
working
time,
through. Go ahead.
it was my first time ever beating a Portal game.
Mm-hmm.
I played a little bit of Portal 1, but the co-op in Portal 2 was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And it was my first time beating Portal 2 co-op mode. It was really fun. There was specifically one puzzle in that game that me and you got to. We were just like, we cannot figure this out for the life of us. And then you looked it up and you told me over the call. I was like, why didn't we think of that?
We just didn't put our heads together quite literally.
Literally, yeah. So, and some other co-op games we've been playing is recently Grounded, which has been a very fun Honey I Shrunk the Kids survival game, which we will probably get back to once we're done recording.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds. I've never played any of the older Monster Hunters. I've only ever played Monster Hunter World, which which was again Capcom's big game that revived. Like I wouldn't say revived because Monster Hunter was a big franchise in Japan, but it was another game that like started getting them worldwide attention. We saw that Capcom had kind of like a redemption arc with
Oh
like
yeah,
Resident Evil 7. It kind of like brought back the Resident Evil franchise, Devil May Cry 5, Monster Hunter World.
trying out Dragon's Dogma too.
Oh yeah, Dragon Dogma 2. Um, yeah, Capcom's just Street Fighter 6 too. Yeah, just they've just been on a roll with like games that have kind of just been reaching more broader audiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Capcom is a solid developer. I wish I was a fan of their. I'm not a big fan Resident Evil fan, Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry, Ace Attorney, and that's it for me. But yeah, I do respect what they do because they are very talented in releasing games and just being a very good publisher in more recent years. I know they had an up and down period at one point, but right now they're doing very well for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, Until Dawn is getting what is a remake?
I think it's a remake.
Another
Yay! Very
whoa.
excited for this one.
It's like the did The Last of Us get a remake? Or was
Yeah.
there
So Sony's logic, and it makes sense business wise because the Last of Us show was coming around at the time,
yeah,
and it makes sense business wise to have a remaster immediately available for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. What, but on the consumer side, who's already bought like the PlayStation 4 remaster of The Last of Us, it doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I think Naughty Dog has like their last I think it was their last 7 games they made. All of them were Last of Us,
Sadly,
and they've only technically made 2 games.
it's sad. It's sad to say, but it is the reality of what's happened the last couple of years because of them pouring time into factions, which was going to be a multiplayer Last of Us until news broke out from Naughty Dog that they were canning it to focus on single player games. As far as I'm aware, they are working on The Last of Us Part 3 as well as a new IP. And there's a chance we're not even going to see them till the end of the generation if we're lucky.
Yeah, I I think Naughty Dog is gonna get into the rocks the rock steady problem of like they're they make critically acclaimed games, so they have to like get bigger. And it kind of just inflates the budget and kind of inflates the time to make the games.
Well, then again, it does come from us players for having big expectations.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Like,
Hmm. Because they make great gains, and us players expect bigger gains from them moving forward. And it's kind of like you said, double-edged sword. Say they want to make a lower budget title when some players will expect it to be another Last of Us when really it's not.
yeah, it's a tough cookie to crumble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that was supposed to mean.
I get what you're saying though. Basically, it's just you're basically walking on eggshells. You're trying
Yeah,
to make something new, make something new potentially, but it has to be like on this whole other quality bar that you've already set before, and players are expecting even more past that quality bar.
I'm also thinking publishers aren't setting their expectations too, because I remember seeing that Spider-Man 2 didn't break even on like sales. It was like I think $20 million development,
I
and it
think
only
$20 million development or like 20 million in sales.
no, I it was like 20 mil in development.
I remember the development budget. I remember saying it was $300 million to develop Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's probably it.
It may have
300
been
mil.
20 million units sold.
But yeah, it's just like games budgets are getting bigger, and like not everyone can like buy it,
Mm-hmm.
and like a lot of games are breaking even. Like Spider-Man 2, like I think I haven't played it. I just know the reaction to it was generally positive,
Mm-hmm.
but it still was a financial success because I would think of that massive budget behind it.
Mm-hmm. But I think another thing that was just to digress back to the state of play. Another thing that was announced was God of War Ragnarok is getting a PC release.
Uh, from what I've heard about PlayStation PC ports, they're terrible for like the first 6 months, then they become good.
Well, with their newly acquired port studio, Nix's, the PC ports have been actually pretty good at the
Oh,
start.
really?
With Horizon Forbidden Dawn, no, Horizon Forbidden West, that was like their first PC title to port over, I believe, and that was the one that was broken and kind of iffy at first. But now with Nixis that they acquired, they're handling PC ports for most of the major uh, Sony first party games over to PC, and so far the quality stands. Ghost of Tsushima is the most recent example, and it's a good quality port. The problem is that Sony is expecting PC players to move over to PlayStation, which is why they link PlayStation Network accounts. And because they do that, they lock it out of other countries.
Yeah, I remember like the Helldivers 2 like controversy.
Hmm.
Like Helldivers 2 got locked out of like nearly 200 countries.
Yep, because they didn't have those countries didn't have PlayStation Network available to them, so they
Yeah,
essentially couldn't play the game.
yeah.
And that is one mentality I disagree that Sony is aiming for. They're expecting PC players that buy, say, the first game and want to play the sequel. They think, oh, we're going to move over to console. Maybe a select few. And I don't have the data points or any of the research that justifies this thing. And maybe what Sony has that don't justify that move. I'm looking at it from the consumer standpoint. I know you're going to be porting over to PC. It's just a matter of time. I can just sit here and wait instead of buying a $500 console for that when I can just wait a couple years and it's already on Steam.
And like the thing is, if your PC can run Ghost of Tsushima, you don't need a console.
Mm-mm.
Like no, like you just don't. But yeah,
The only
uh,
time PC players, or at least for me, will actually buy a console is because Nintendo.
Yeah,
Never once have you would question that Nintendo would bring over their games to PC. Now, if they just port one game to PC, that would be bring into question. But because Xbox and Sony have already released several of their first party games into the PC platforms with Epic and Steam, you can either wait a year or wait a year for PlayStation to finally release it, or just Xbox, it's immediately right there available to you. With Nintendo, you know good and well those games are not coming to PC.
or also you're a Bloodborne fan and you're just waiting for
Dude,
that moment and like
my God, like
that white
I
whale,
just
that
want to
white.
play Bloodborne. I don't want to go buy a PlayStation. I want to get Bloodborne, even though I have a love-hate relationship with Soul games. I want to play that game.
I want to play too, but like I've kind of reached the point of like acceptance where I might never be able to play it. But hey, I may be wrong, and we may be able to see Bloodborne at like 60 frames per second.
What I personally want Sony to do to port their PC games over is all the previous God of War games before God of War 4, 1, 2, and 3, some sort of collection, and then Shadow of the Colossus and Bloodborne. That's all I
I
want.
want, I want to,
Specifically, the PS4 remake of Shadow of the Colossus, because that's the one I want to play.
I want to play Shadow of the Colossus so fucking bad.
Oh yeah, Demon Souls as well. That's another one that should come over to
Yeah,
PC.
but yeah, PlayStation is kind of like just dipping their toes in PC ports right now. Uh, it it it's it's a good thing they're porting it to PC, but
Hmm.
also, and I'm glad they got like a studio to like make sure the PC games, work on
Oh
release.
yeah, so they're like running.
Yeah, yeah. It's just PlayStation is like just they have exclusives for their consoles.
Hmm.
They kind of just want to keep it to their consoles.
But my argument is, ever since you poured it over to PC,
You set a
you're not
precedent.
going to have a lot of PC players that go over to your console. If anything, might as well just put day and date release so you can have that boost of sales. Because if you keep waiting and holding off several years, it's going to just be an old game and you won't maximize profit as you would. Like, oh, it's coming day and date on PC. Like some of the other multiplayer games that they've been doing. Helldivers 2 is a good example of this.
Oh
Launched
yeah.
day one on PC and is a very successful game. I thought that was going to be trash, but I was completely wrong.
I still have no idea what Helldivers 1 is, but you know what? Helldivers 2, probably one of the biggest games of this year. And it
Hmm.
probably had to do with you could play it on like a console or a PC. It was
Right.
like day one release.
Well, as far as I'm aware for state of play games, those God of War, Ragnarok, PC port, uh, Dynasty Warriors Origins are the only two games I can think of that I actually am interested in.
A, a game I'm interested in, games I'm interested in is Monster Hunter Wilds and that uh Astrobot game.
Oh yeah, dang, I forgot about Astrobot. That looks pretty sick. Like as
Yeah,
an ending game, like I'm pretty sure if they didn't reveal Astrobot at the end of the state play, it probably would have been worse because I already thought it was a low quality state play, but Astrobot knocked it up for me.
I do want to see more original ideas in games. I I got there are some remakes I love, and like there's some like sequels that I'm gonna love.
Mm,
But I do think that just more original IPs will be overall like better for like the industry.
mm.
It probably won't make as much money that publishers want, but you can't please publishers at all.
But sometimes money is like the end goal, and that is fine. Like make your bread by the end of the day. But
Yeah.
sometimes it can if money is the only thing that drives motivation, then it can lead to problems.
But yeah, the state of play overall, it was
Meh.
pro yeah, I would say.
Like I can like we mentioned, or at least for me, 3 games. Thankfully, you reminded me with Astrobot, even though I can't play it because I don't have PlayStation. I do think
Yeah.
that it's going to be a. I do think that is going to be a good game. Uh, Astrobot. That's. I think that'll be a good platformer for people on PlayStation because of the creativity there. I'm looking forward to having God of War Ragnarok on PC because I have God of War 4 on my Steam account and gonna play it soon. And Dynasty Warriors Origins, I I think that'll be a good Musa game to get me into Dynasty Warriors. One, because it looks graphically impressive. Two, it'll
Mhm.
be good to have like some good action, fun, destroying like a lot of enemies, as Musa games are well known for.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't like Hyrule Warriors like Dynasty Warriors?
Right. Just
Yeah.
it's Hyrule Warriors just has Zelda
Yeah.
themed. It has the Zelda characters as well as introduces a couple new ones. And specifically the first one, you play through old Zelda locations like Skyloft. Uh, there's some Wind Waker maps in there too. I think a Twilight Princess map, Hyrule, like their version of it in the Warriors games, and just basically is like a love letter to Zelda in a way. Like it's a Zelda themed game, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, like the gameplays are kind of like similar, but just
You're
there's hordes of
destroying, but
enemies.
yeah, there's hordes of enemies, and you're destroying a bunch of them with all the different moves and characters you can switch to.
Yeah. But yeah, a few games from the Sony State of Play, I would probably say was the weakest reveal of like the trio we have right now.
Hmm.
Yeah. But do you want to move on to Summer's Game Fest?
Right, I would be happy to, because I think there may be some more interesting games there. Because before the Summer Games Fest started off, Jack Keighley, who is the host of the Summer Game Fest and the Game Awards every year, he announced that please, everyone, lower your expectations for this. It's not going to be like your biggest event. He specifically named games people were looking out for. Kingdom Hearts 4 specifically, as well as like all these big games people were hoping to see some sort of information. I just remember Kingdom Hearts 4 because on my Twitter timeline, or X formerly Twitter timeline, I kept seeing Kingdom Hearts fans go crazy, just like it's not going to be there, or there was specifically a clip where Jeff was talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance, and they heard Kingdom and then Come, and then they were just like, "Come on, Jeff, don't be messing with me like that," you know.
Yeah, my version of that was like I think it was during E3. Phil Spencer of like head of Xbox had a Heretic shirt on during the presentation.
A Hexen,
Yeah, I think it was Hexen.
right?
And are you gonna give Hexen the Doom treatment?
I don't think he. I think that was just there to appease people who like Hexen. If he does, if they do eventually go back to Hexen, cool. I don't know what that is, but I know it's like an old,
It's medieval Doom.
like Quake.
It's not Quake. It was like it was on the Doom engine,
Mm. Like
but
uh, what was it called? Their engine, IdTech.
yeah, it's EdTech. I think that name came on like later,
Okay,
but yeah, it's just the Doom engine with like medieval sprites over it. Like it plays like Doom. There's some like different stuff. Like different kinks to it, but it's basically just if you play Doom, you know what Hexen's gonna play like.
Interesting. Okay, so what are some of the games from Summer Games Fest that caught your eye?
Uh, the one game that caught my eye, I'm trying to find it in the list.
Mm-hmm.
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
the TMNT Power Rangers like game.
yeah, it's a beat 'em up, and I was like, this would probably be fun if like we get four of our friends to play it,
Right,
and
right,
we all
right.
become Power
Oh, I
Rangers.
was thinking the same thing with TMNT Shredder's Revenge. That'd be fun.
Yeah. The only beat 'em up I've played is like Streets of Rage 4. And that was that was good beat 'em up.
I played TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I've heard good things about Streets of Rage 4. Another one I played is Double Dragon Neon. I only play that game just so I could go to this one level where I play the song Mega Tango because I really love that track. And after I heard that track in the level, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm not interested.
Yeah, it Streets of Rage 4 is I do want to replay it soon. It's not a terribly long game. Like you can beat it in a day,
Mm-hmm.
maybe two. But it just has like a really solid foundation for what makes a beat 'em up good.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the music in it. Um, and I also like the art style in it, the kind of like comic booky art.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it's another one of those games that kind of like resurrected a franchise.
Interesting indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. Go Power Rangers.
Oh yeah.
Uh any games specifically you were interested in?
I didn't look further into the showcase because I was already sold into the game, but I do want to mention it. Metaphor Refantasia.
Oh yeah, the new IP from Atlas
Right.
that's
It's a subdivision of Atlas, I believe, Studio Zero, which is created of the main people that headed Shin Megami Tensei 3. Nocturne, Persona 3, 4, and 5 are making this medieval JRPG, which is going to be a combination of everything that Atlas has learned up until this point. And it's going to have some action combat as well as some turn-based combat. There isn't romance in this game, which they have confirmed. I thought that was an interesting choice, but it's not going to be a deal breaker for me.
I do want to see how like Atlas does the like the I don't want to call it the Persona style, but because it's like a spin-off from Shin Megami Tensei,
Right.
but kind of like the Persona formula and like taking that into like a completely different setting.
Mm. I do
Be-
think this will be a very interesting game to play, and it could be different because what they have as a concept is really, really fascinating to me. Is that the world that you were set in is the actual real world, and then our real world, they consider in that world to be a fantasy, which I think is really a really unique spin on it.
yeah, that is really interesting.
Hmm.
Overall,
Our world is the fantasy in their world.
must be a boring ass fantasy.
It really is, but we don't know yet till we play the game. And Shoji Meguro, who is the composer of Nocturne 3, 4, and 5, is returning for this title as well. We've also been told from the head director of Metaphor Refantasio that he wanted Shoji Meguro to specifically do something different. He didn't have to do his poppy sort of mantra for
Yeah.
that he's well known for in the Persona games for this game. I've heard some people say they hate that he's not doing any like pop style tracks. I
but I
remember
feel
listening
like
to the battle theme. I'm like, this is actually pretty good. Like I'm glad the director is giving him a chance to be a little bit creative because as a creative myself, say like I've proven myself after a certain time, like let me try to do something different. Give me a new challenge instead of just rehashing poppy old theme here, poppy old theme here. As much as
uh,
Soji Meguro could probably do something pop wise for a medieval setting and probably do it pretty well. I do like the fact that they are trying to experiment.
yeah, as a creative, you never want to get typecast as
Hmm.
something, uh, because it just means that you're not really doing anything new. You're just doing what everybody wants you to do,
Hmm.
which as a creative is probably soul crushing.
Hmm.
But yeah, met meta
You got
how do
it.
you, meta
Metaphor
metaphor
re Fantasia.
re Fantasio.
Right.
Atlas, you got some whack names.
I mean,
Uh,
Persona 5, 3, and 4 rolls off the tongue.
yeah, but also I found it so funny watching the trailer of like, okay, what can we call these things that are totally personas but aren't personas?
What do they
What do
call
they?
it? Archetypes?
Yeah, archetypes.
I mean,
That's
it's
what it was.
generic, but whatever. What I
It,
do think is also going to be
I
interesting is the job system.
oh, you're gonna be a wage slave?
Oh. So, basically, the job system is going to be similar to Xenoblade 3. And what Xenoblade 3 did with the job system is that every single party member could switch between all these different classes. And I heard there's going to
Oh,
be a
okay.
good amount in Metaphor.
Okay. When I heard job system, I thought, oh wait, you're gonna be working a 9 to 5? Nah.
Technically, you did in Persona, though.
Yeah,
But that was an
but
option.
yeah, but that does sound interesting to where like your party members aren't trapped. You're not trapped with like taking the support party member, the maid's party member. You can like take characters you like and kind of direct them to roles that you would need without like having to switch them out for
Mm.
like the most mid-maxing your party to the most like statistically like positive, like what will statistically do the most damage. Yeah, metaphor. I'm just gonna call it metaphor.
Yeah, by all means, you don't have to call it the entire thing.
Metaphor is like I do like how Atlas is trying to branch out their like style of like Persona games because
Hmm.
Persona 5 got massive and they're using that to put target Persona fans to like try out like the old games as well. And like while they're waiting for like Persona 6, which will probably be probably massive, they're doing a new IP that will I would say get like it will find its audience within like people who like that the Persona style of game.
Oh yeah, because like you said, Persona is now like one of Sega's massive franchises, and Sega has committed to making Yakuza, Sonic, and Persona mainstay franchises with different ideas, maybe spin-offs, as well as trying to reinforce that these are their top tier games. And I do think that is a good thing. And I think Metaphor being a new IP and something different from Atlas would be is a good thing to see as well.
Yeah, new IPs are always just like a treat.
Hmm. But that in terms of Summer's Game Fest, that's all I can remember.
The one thing that like blew up my timeline on Twitter was the Street Fighter 6 announcement. They announced season 2 and they announced M Bison is going to be the first character to release. I think he's already released.
Now, I don't know anything about Street Fighter or fighting games in general. King, who's M Bison?
He's the big bad of the Street Fighter franchise. He was
Okay.
the final boss of two, I think all of the Alpha games, Street Fighter 5, and he's coming back as like the first DLC character. But the things that got people really excited were the other three characters announced. Street Fighter announced all of the DLC characters, and it's M. Bison, Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury.
I have heard of
My,
Fatal Fury because Smash Ultimate and that collab.
yeah, my Sur my Suryami, I think I said that right, from Fatal Fury 2, and Elaine from Street Fighter 3, who's like a fan favorite.
Hmm.
And I just remember everyone who loves fighting games, they were a hype as hell for the Terry Bogard revealed.
Would you say fighting games are your strong suit?
I know a lot about fighting games. I'm not very good at them,
Neither am I.
but I I know I just watch straight like fighting game content, and the DLC is like it is good because it's the first time ever Capcom is doing guest characters for Street Fighter. Like every other Street Fighter game was purely just Capcom like characters. Now they're bringing characters from like Fatal Fury and King of Fighters into the game, which is kind of setting the precedent of that we might see more in the future.
Mm. But that's pretty
But yeah,
cool. Personally, I'm not too big into fighting games. I would say like the only one that I'm actually interested in is Smash Brothers. But
yeah.
Sakurai doesn't consider Smash to be a fighting game when honestly it kind of is.
Well, the thing is, fire game players also kind of like group Smash into like its own thing. It's like Smash is such a different game from other fighting games, and it kind of has created this own kind of like subgenre of the fighting game.
Mm,
But yeah, it's just like DLC for like an already popular like and critically acclaimed game.
right.
And personally speaking, I think every Street Fighter game has had like bad starting rosters. They don't. None of the Street Fighter games get good until the DLC starts rolling in.
Hmm, interesting. It sounds the same way that I heard from Mortal Kombat, specifically Mortal Kombat 11, where they had Homelander, John is Cena's character. What's his name?
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, as well as who's the guy from The Boys?
You mean Homelander?
So that is Homelander. Who's J.K. Simmons play as in Invincible?
Omni Man.
Yes, like
Yeah.
those three in particular, I thought was pretty wicked.
Yeah, and uh, I remember just MK11's guest characters just being like, "Oh, Mortal Kombat's starting to get money." Because they got the Terminator with Arnold's likeness. They couldn't get his voice.
Mm.
They got RoboCop and they got Peter Cullen to reprise him. They got Rambo and got what's his name?
Joker.
No, the guy who plays Rambo in the movies.
Oh, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, they got Sylvester Stallone to voice him,
Mm.
and they got Joker. They got Spawn. I think MK11 just has like the best like guest characters,
Hmm.
excluding Smash, out of of all fighting
Oh,
games.
Smash Ultimate seeing every character reveal, that was a whole E3 hype in itself.
That I I remember just being in like a math class I did not give a fuck about. Like he didn't teach us anything. Uh,
That sounds like me with a Nintendo Direct and Principles of Public Relations. I had my phone under the desk during the lecture. I was just like, okay, Zelda's getting announced. Tile reveal, and it's Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, wait. Yeah, no wonder they didn't want to air this in England because around the time that was when the Queen died.
yeah, but the thing is, like in the math class, he didn't teach us anything. We just did like online homework.
That sounds like most of the math teacher experiences I had, except well, one one math teacher I had was really good. Another one I had in community college. Most of the time I was learning on my own, but I just loved him as a character, cause especially his name. I won't
Yeah,
say it here because I'd rather keep that private on his behalf. But I really do like his name and just like how he went about teaching the class. Even though everyone else was struggling in the class except me.
yeah, but yeah. I remember just being in class that day. My friend Josiah,
Mm,
uh, he was on his phone watching the direct,
mm.
and like they were gonna announce the next Smash character, and like I just remember it was the Steve Smash reveal, and
Oh,
me and him were like in just complete disbelief, and like it was hype as hell. And I remember just Twitter like breaking that day.
speaking of that, the reason I got into Persona is because of Smash itself. Without Joker being in Smash, I wouldn't have known about Persona, and I wouldn't be as a fan of that JRPG series as it is. And without Persona 4, I wouldn't be into JRPGs as a whole.
Yeah, for his Nutra special, Joker pulls out a gun.
Well, any other games you want to talk about from Summer Games Fest? Because I know the Xbox showcase for both me and you is going to be a long one.
Um, yeah, a lot of the stuff were just like not that I'm just not interested in. One game I am looking like I'll keep my eye out on is the Killer Bean game.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I know like the prominence that Killer Bean has. I can't say with certainty that I'm a big fan of him, but some
I just
people
know
are.
I know his creator was like a Hollywood uh see he worked for he worked as a he worked in CGI in Hollywood, and like he's kind of like branched off and done this thing, and it's like become a huge success for him, and like the game looks like kind of it looks like GTA and Max Payne had a baby.
And it came out as a bean.
Yes, a
Yeah.
beautiful bean.
But would you say you'll be checking this one out?
I'll keep my eye on it. I'm not a big Killer Bean fan. I know of its existence,
Hmm.
but yeah, it looks interesting.
Okay, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to move on to the Xbox showcase?
Yes.
All right, everyone, this is going to be the bigger. Even though we somehow stretched out the last two, because personally there wasn't a lot of gains in either of those two for me. Like I'm pretty sure three for State of Play for me, and then I think it was two for Summer Games Fest, or it was either one.
Yeah, it was
It was
a
not
lot
that
of
great of a
yeah,
showcase.
it was just a lot of just things we already know are coming out and
Hmm.
also just CGI trailers.
Right.
But the Xbox showcase was like
Whew.
somehow the
If anything,
like
they captured the magic of E3 without it being E3. Like, this is the closest we can get.
when like your least interesting thing you showcased is a World of Warcraft expansion, it's like, hey, you might
Hmm.
you might be doing something good.
Oh, yeah. So, want to start from the top of the showcase and just work our way down?
Yeah, I have like the official image they like released
Okay.
that like has all the logos of all the games they
Mm-hmm.
showed up. Uh, yeah, just a lot of just good games.
Mm-hmm. The first one I want to mention, me and you are hyped for this. Doom: The Dark Ages.
Bro, id Software makes games so good you want to have sex with it.
Oh my god, that's a line. But
But like,
yeah,
the thing about I like how we talked earlier about how it's a fine line to walk between like wanting to do something different for a sequel and expectations. I find it so like refreshing that id Software decided to like re like just re like structure the entirety of like Doom after Doom Eternal.
I would
Like
say
because
this is a prequel to it. It's not a continuation. It's basically going back.
yeah, and like they kind of I did not see a single glory kill in the trailer, which is like wild to me that they might have the balls to like get rid of like one of their most famous gameplay decisions. And I think that's kind of good because they're doing something different with this game. You can tell because it's not just oh Doom Eternal,
But
but
with
in the middle,
swords and shields.
yeah, it generally feels like they're giving us a fresh new game
I
because
You mentioned about the glory kills. That just dawned on me. I'm just like, you're right. They didn't show any of that. And it's like,
yeah,
wow, I didn't realize that. Like I was so focused on Doomslayer throwing the shield, being able to ride dragons, not to mention the gun where you literally tearing up skull pieces and shooting an array of demons. That's what I was focused on. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's just it they're just doing something so it's gonna be a Doom game, but it's
mm,
not like I said, it's not gonna they're not like just porting Doom Eternal to a new like sequel game.
mm,
Which I kind of like because Doom Eternal was like the pinnacle of like that combat experience. It
mm,
was like a well-tuned like machine. And like I, I just want to see more of this game.
mm.
And
Either way,
it's
me and you both are excited for this because we're already fans of Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, and now we have Doom: The Dark Ages, which is going to be a prequel before both of those games. One thing
when
I
the
do want to say it's going to be sad because I don't think Mick Gordon's returning for this one,
yeah,
unless
that's
Bethesda somehow save the relationship. But I doubt it.
they ain't gonna patch that up.
It's a
Like
shame.
it's a shame, but like I do hope the new composer they got doesn't suffer the same like fate as Mick Gordon.
I just hope they're not going to be Mick Gordon, but I do hope that they add a good sound to Doom because Doom, as much their combat, the combat is important, but the music is also important.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's probably gonna be. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen any confirmation, but maybe my theory is it's gonna be the guy who did the DLC soundtracks,
I was gonna
Andrew.
say that would be a good guess. That did the Ancient of the Gods
The
DLC.
yeah, the Ancient Gods DLC.
That's it. But yeah,
But yeah,
either way, that is one game me and you are looking forward to in 2025.
the second big game that I'm really excited about, we've seen it before, is Avowed.
Oh, Eval made by Obsidian Entertainment.
Yeah, it's given. I just love the visual look of the
Mm-hmm.
game,
By the way,
and
in previous reveals and showcases of the game, did you feel that it was not looking akin to the Outer Worlds. Like maybe the animations didn't look that great. Like the first couple of showings, did you think it was not looking good to what Obsidian is known for?
I can't like visually remember it,
Because the
but
reason I bring this up is because I've seen people across Twitter, YouTube comments as well as like a vast array of people say the initial reveal did not look great. When personally for me, I thought it looked great. I thought it looked
and
fine.
I also watched a little bit of like a dev interview where they showed some like more gameplay, and I
Mm-hmm.
think the animations look fine. Like if you have underleveled weapons, they kind of are more blunt when hitting enemies,
Mm-hmm.
and when they're like at the same level or like higher, you start like seeing the swords kind of like slash through them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think they did say something about updating the animations
Yeah, in this
since release.
trailer, it did. Even though for me, I think I didn't have a problem with it. I think there was visually more. It was more impressive in this trailer. I'm already sold on the game up to this point because I do trust that Sydney is going to make a good RPG. Because this is going to be akin to the Outer Worlds in structure, but possibly being even better than the Outer Worlds because the Outer Worlds was made on a tighter budget.
Yeah, I've I've played Fallout New Vegas, and I played like I think of the Outer Worlds. Uh, but like Avowed does look really promising.
Mm-hmm.
It's given me real like 90s fantasy cover art vibes to it.
I'm excited for creating my character. What choices there are going to be. Just I do think this is going to be another great Obsidian RPG. I cannot wait to play it. The problem is that they're saying it's 2024, but there's still it still hasn't confirmed a date. And there are some other games that have done that in this showcase.
I remember there was like a leak. It probably isn't going to be true, but like on the storefront it said November 12th.
It was either November 18th or November 12th. I 15th also came into mind, but the reports was specifically by um, a prominent reporter. I can't remember his name. It was either Tom Henderson or someone else that I follow on Twitter. He said that they were aiming for November release date, and that leak that Obsidian accidentally did on their front page for Avowed proved true. Now they could still be aiming for November, and I think from what I've heard from other creators, well, because I listened to some of their other podcasts, is that the reason why they're not committing to anything just yet is because of the possibility is one deciding what is lining up throughout the holiday because we got Black Ops 6, which is another thing that's been mentioned in the show, as well as
Yeah.
these other slew of titles that is coming out, and we still don't know what Tendo is going to release as well. So, say like
Hon-
they want to release these games in 2024, and plus the onslaught of what Nintendo has on top of that, it's going to be a very packed winter that we may not have a lot of time to play these games, and some gamers or consumers are going to have to make judgment calls.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Avowed turns out to be the big February release.
Mm-hmm. I would honestly be okay with that.
Yeah. But yeah, Avowed Obsidian, they can make a good RPG.
I
And
have faith that this will be a good game.
yeah, I, I really want to get my hands on it.
Oh, me and you both. I really do.
Another game that I know you and me are really interested in is Indiana Jones.
Yes. Did you watch any of the Indiana Jones movies growing up? Because I did.
I watched the first four. I haven't seen the newest one.
I haven't either. I've heard it's bad. I'd rather not watch it.
Yeah, it that's a whole nother topic, but the game it's given me real like
Like this
good
is Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. And
It's
like,
also being the executive producer of this game is Todd Howard, God Howard himself.
hey, if it works, it works.
I think he, I think with because he's said in multiple interviews like he wanted to make this game for a long time. Same thing with
Yeah,
Starfield.
I
And
remember
go ahead.
I remember Bethesda, their earliest games were like Terminator games. And I feel like he did want like during that era of Bethesda to do like an Indiana Jones licensed game.
Mhm.
But yeah,
And now with Machine Games, not to mention first person Indiana Jones games, which is looking very good.
yeah.
I was
It,
already a fan of Wolfenstein.
yeah, me too. I played Wolfenstein The New Order, Wolfenstein The Old Blood, and I
Oh,
played a little. I played like halfway through the New Colossus.
the new Colossus is my favorite.
Yeah, I want to get back to it. I remember getting to New Orleans.
Oh yeah,
I think,
I know where you are now.
but yeah, I was kind of shocked when it was first revealed to be first person.
Hmm.
Like, oh, we're doing because the obvious idea of like
It's
an
like a
Indiana,
third person Uncharted game.
yeah,
But then
but
again, think about it. Say they did do it third person. It's what we expected.
yeah, like yeah, all the gameplay of it. I'm really interested in how the game plays because all we've seen is like montages. And funny thing I noticed in the montage is that when like they were doing all this like action stuff, like syncing up to the music, at one point Indiana Jones just shoots a gun and just misses, and it just immediately cuts, and I was like, well, why was that in there? Like he was shooting it at a Nazi, and he just misses it.
I think the gameplay will be similar to Wolfenstein 2, as it was their most recent game. Well,
I,
Youngblood technically
yeah,
is their most recent game, but I'd rather not acknowledge its existence because it's an inferior product.
yeah. I, what I say when I'm like interested in the gameplay is how they're gonna do the melee combat and like the whip because
That was probably
that's
the one they had to put a lot of time into. I remember
yeah,
seeing in the developer direct they had a whole mocap studio direct
yeah,
like for that.
yeah. That's probably gonna be this game's Batman's cape because in Arkham Asylum they spent so long getting that cape right, and even then it still kind of looks a bit eh.
Then again,
But
it came out in what?
yeah, but that has to do with like the age of the game itself.
Yeah, Arkham
But
Knight
yeah,
looks even better.
yeah, and also I just really love the cinematics they showed off.
Hmm.
The
The Nazi going like, Choo choo choo, all American cartoon, and then you see Indy's face. He's just like, he does got a point. Like that. That is what Machine Games is very well known for, especially when it was first revealed with the villain being like having that close up moment. Especially in Wolfenstein 2, they do that a lot, where you're like in these tense sort of one-on-one talks with the Nazis. I can see why Todd wanted Machine Games to do this. One, because they're experience with Nazi stuff already. Two, like to have that cinematic flair with the
yeah,
villains.
Machine Games is like really good at like integrating narrative into the story. I mean, the gameplay,
Hmm.
and I can just Wolfenstein's a very like linear game, but to make a linear game good, you have to have like really great set pieces. And I can just remember like five like set pieces of Wolfenstein off the top of my head.
Hmm.
And I think the same is going to be true for Indiana Jones.
I think the attention to detail is going to be a big factor here.
Hmm?
Attention to detail, like in the
Yeah,
environments, like the little things. I think Machine Games will probably have that down to a C, which will make the experience even better.
Yeah, and also the premise of like the Great Circle being like all of these like historical monuments create a perfect circle. That's a
Mm-hmm.
very Indiana Jones plot.
Mm-hmm.
And it also creates like a variety in settings for the
Mm-hmm.
game. We saw like the Himalayas, Egypt.
Would
I
it seem
think we
like the Amazon jungle?
yeah, I think Amazon. There's also a city, and I don't want
It's
to.
like a museum area.
Yeah, I want to say maybe. I don't think it's Berlin.
We'll find out once the game eventually releases. So, like Avowed, it's slated for 2024, no release date yet. But either way, if it comes in, yeah,
That buddy, that ain't coming out 2024.
you think so? I
I,
think
I,
it
I'm gonna,
is. It's just
I'm
like
gonna,
they're trying to find a date. If Avowed gets delayed into 2025, I am perfectly fine with that
yeah,
because this fall will probably be busy enough as it is. And I would honestly be fine with playing Indiana Jones in this fall in 2024.
yeah. The thing is, the reason I say 2025 is because we haven't gotten like a full head-on look at the gameplay. We've gotten like trailers, which
Well, then again, I think the reason they're doing that is because it's going to be a linear game, from what
yeah,
I'm guessing, and they
and you don't
can't
want to,
showcase too much of it. Because
yeah,
there's probably a big set piece that they are hiding, but they do not want to reveal it. Like what they've shown so far, I'm sold on it, and I don't want them to show any more for me.
yeah, yeah. I, I'm looking forward to it. Machine Games.
Mm.
I trust Machine Games to give us a good Nazi killing experience.
I think it's going to be a great Indiana Jones game. In fact, it's going to be one of the better ones we have in a while because it's been a good time since Indiana Jones game's been made. I think with Todd Howard having his dream vision for this game as well as what Machine Games is known for, this is going to be a great experience when it eventually releases.
Uh, yeah. Any games you're excited?
South of Midnight in particular.
Oh yeah, that's that's gonna be a real like interesting game.
So, do you know Compulsion Games by and do you know Compulsion Games by chance?
I don't, but you're probably gonna tell me a game they've made, and I'll probably like remember it.
Two games in particular. One is a smaller game, which is a platformer called Contrast, but they're the game that I know them from is We Happy Few.
Oh,
That's the
oh, okay,
developers.
okay, yeah. I knew it was gonna be like a game I've heard about, but didn't know the developers.
So I played We Happy Few, and I liked it. I know it has flaws. Like it's a mix. It's a very mixed game, but it's not a terrible game by any means because the world of We Happy Few is very cool. From what I've heard from others, and I share the same sentiment, is that the narrative and the world that they're trying to tell is top tier. But what holds it back is the survival crafting aspect of it because the game was made in early access and that was one of the things they were featuring off of.
Yeah,
And
and I
early in
think it,
development, they were making what Starfield was aiming for was generated seed areas, from what I believe, until they
yeah,
eventually scrapped that.
yeah. I remember We Happy Few from like its early access hype. It was like writing off the sur open world survival games that like were big that era, like Ark Survival Evolved,
Right.
Rust.
And I think
And
that's one of the problems that We Happy Few has. But from just what they were able to craft with the world, how joy works, the themes that they were going off of with trying to forget post war, it's a post World War II historical fiction type deal like Wolfenstein 2 is doing, where the Nazis did win, but what the British did this time is that they created this drug called joy that made you forget everything and has you in this psychedelic state to where you're just happy all the time and you don't and you see the ramifications of what joy does and you see it through these three different characters when you play the game. And that is what's just is so good, but I can understand how some people are not into the game because of those drawbacks with the survival and crafting elements and some of the gameplay falling short.
Yeah, but South of Midnight, it
Yes,
looks really interesting. Was this a world premiere?
this was a world premiere in gameplay. It was first revealed last year.
Yeah, because yeah, this probably like got a few like eyes on it. Well,
It
probably a lot of eyes on it.
it got my
And
attention last year when it was first revealed because of the art style. But what drew me in is the fact that it's going to be taking place in the southern states, particularly New Orleans.
yeah, like I do feel like the South has kind of been stereotyped to where like a lot of people just
And it is
yeah, it's
warranted because you look at the history and you're just like, I don't blame you. And
yeah,
me and you being from the South, like, yeah.
yeah. There's history you just can't turn your head away from, but also like there is a rich culture here in the South. Like
Hmm.
one thing that really like this is a tangent,
Okay.
nothing has to do with gameplay. Mississippi changed their like state license from the old one was the birthplace of America's music, and they changed it to "In God We Trust." And I kind of just that just rubs me the wrong way because we Mississippi is the birthplace of America's music, of like the Delta blues and like
Hmm.
rock and roll.
Hmm.
I forget the musician's name, but the story is that he was walking down like a street, and at a crossroad he like met the devil, and
I
like
have a feeling I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember his name.
yeah,
But
and
I know
like the
the story
devil,
you're telling.
yeah, but the devil said, "I'll make a deal with you," and the guy said yes, and rock and roll. That's
Yeah,
like an urban legend.
I'm thinking the movie Crossroads is what you're technically referencing. But yeah, I understand because a lot of blues players would have that type of story that they sold their soul to the devil so they could play blues music. And like you said, there is a lot of culture in Mississippi that I believe can be touched on. And South of Midnight, I think, can do that. It's not going to be in Mississippi, but it is going to be in New Orleans towards Louisiana. And with the music, with the southern tone, with what they're trying to aim for, not to mention the art style and how it has like this Coraline type of vibe where it's like a stop
Yeah.
motion frame type movement. I really love what Compulsion Games is trying to go for here. And with the scenery, and you see the white destroyed chapel as well as the alligator monster they eventually have to fight, I think this is going to be a really, really cool game.
Well, the one thing that did bother me, I was like watching somebody. I was watching a reaction
Mm-hmm.
to like the Xbox Game Fest.
Okay.
Like, when he saw the game, first thing he said, "Oh, this is like Spider-Verse," and like, yeah,
Uh, yeah,
and
in
how
the
like,
frame animation, yeah, I could see why.
well, that's the thing. Whenever like character anim
Animations,
animations are like not out, like they're at a set like frame rate,
right?
everyone references Spider-Verse.
Right. I also thought of Five Hour Rush with this game as well because in cutscenes it would be rendered at a lower frame rate. That's what I
Yeah,
immediately thought of.
but yeah, South of Midnight's gonna be like,
I was curious. What did intrigue me was the gameplay choice that they're doing. It's going to be a third person over the shoulder type of experience. There is going to be some combat in this game too. But do you know Kenneth Bridges Spirits? That game by chance?
uh, no, I
Okay,
may have,
so I've never played that game before, but it's basically you play as this character called Kenna, and you're going around saving spirits, and it has this sort of Studio Ghibli type of art style, if you want to
Hmm.
call it that. And what you saw in South of Midnight is similar to that, where you defeat the dark monster and then everything turned back into light. And
Yeah,
I think that's what they're trying to do with this game, and there could be some very cool things to explore with darkness and light as our character, I don't know her name,
yeah,
that could be explored in this setting, especially in the South with what history has happened here.
yeah. It's gonna be a really interesting game, and I think it's gonna like develop a cult following for it. Uh,
I don't think it's going to be gangbusters like Call
it's
of
not
Duty.
gonna
It's
be.
not going to do Call of Duty numbers, but I do hope it'll have like a good solid fan base like Hi-Fi Rush did.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever you're like creating this like new IP that is trying to fill a niche, you you just hope it like finds its audience
Mm-hmm.
for it to be like somewhat successful.
Mm-hmm. But moving
Yeah.
on to our next game, what we got?
Uh, Fable looks interesting.
Ooh, yeah. It still amazes me that is the actual gameplay.
Yeah, it it looks really good.
To Playground Games to go from Forza Horizon to this.
Yeah,
That it's been taking them a long time to get this game, but from what it looks like, it may be worth it.
yeah. Also, the thing is, Playground Games, Forza Horizon, like they know how to make their cars look good.
And they
So I'm
also
like,
make good how to make racing games fun.
yeah, and
Beside Mario Kart, but that's a whole other story.
so I'm not surprised that it will look good. I'm trying to remember the trailer. I was like watching everything in like that hour's time frame, and it's kind of like all blending together.
Hmm.
But did they show off any like combat in the game trailer?
I think it was stitched together, not necessarily like South of Midnight did.
Yeah, but yeah, it will look. Fable looks like it's gonna be like fun. I love the like kind of
Witty
comedic
humor.
timing. Yeah,
Have you played any of the original Fable games?
not at all.
I played a bit of one, a bit of two. I haven't played three. There is some charm in it, but they are very old games, and it can be tough to get through because of the old controls. But I can see why people like it because of the charm, witty humor, the being able. What is very important about those games is being able to choose good or evil. And what I hope is that with Playground that they do have some version of being able to play as a good guy or play as a bad guy. One concern that I do have is like, is there character creation? Because I I want to create my own character. Not
Yeah,
to say that the female protagonist that being shown off in trailers is bad, because it's not.
yeah,
I just because Fable has been about your own adventure and you play as your own hero. I do want to have character customization.
yeah. It's just I do hope it's just like a trailer character they have, kind of like how Street Fighter in like their single player mode, they just have this like this baseline creative character that's like just the same in every trailer they've done.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do hope they do have like a character creator in Fable. It's an RPG, like you gotta be able to like create your own character.
Yeah, but Fable coming 2025. Looking forward to that one as well.
Hmm. Uh oh yeah, I heard you talking about mixtape.
Did I? Well, Mixtape is something that I am looking forward to as well. I think this will be a cool little indie
Yeah,
because
I
of the
think
'80s vibes and the music. I think this will be like a cool like journey type of adventure. You know,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like I'm trying to think. I've never played the game, but I want to play it. I think it's giving me Night in the Woods vibes.
yeah, I can understand why. I watch playthroughs online. Uh, it's not my favorite game in the world, but I know it has this fan base.
Yeah,
There are other walking in simulator games, specifically ending. Death Stranding doesn't even get into this conversation because that's a
yeah.
whole other game.
That I consider that AAA.
Oh yeah. Uh, Firewatch. That's a great indie game that I played. That's a walking simulator, and I enjoy that thoroughly.
I remember watching a playthrough of it, and I forgot like the ending of it like completely. I I do want to play with it because I think I've forgotten enough to where I won't be. I will get like surprised by the
Mm-hmm.
game.
It is on Game Pass, so whenever you want to download it, it's still there. That's how I played it.
Yeah, but yeah, mixtape looks like it's gonna just be the thing about the Xbox showcase that really like intrigue me is that there's gonna be a lot of like there's like a lot of like niche games here.
Not to mention, there is a game that you can find there.
Yeah, and like
Like if you're into indie games, say like very heavily influenced indie games, you got mixtape. Very say Telltale style games, you got Life is Strange. That was showcased here.
you want a immersive sim, Perfect Dark.
I want to get to Perfect Dark now that you mention it. So you know the story and reports behind this game, right?
I think I know the original Perfect Darks were just cyberpunk James Bond. Like
Right.
the it
Because
was
I
cyberpunk.
remember playing through Rare Replay, very much Golden Eye with Joanna Dark as
Yeah,
the main character. But
and
what I'm mentioning, well, yeah, you go and finish your thought.
I've heard I don't know a lot about it, but I know this game kind of went through like development struggle and
That's
that's
exactly why I want to go off here. So, up until this point, we have not seen gameplay whatsoever. Almost 75% of the original team at the initiative left. And then, because of creative differences or what have you. But it's just looking like this game was going through development hell. Like
yeah.
it just didn't seem to be coming together. Last couple of reports, this game was an absolute mess to manage. And then the most recent report before the showcase was it's actually looking to be a pretty good, solid title. We've seen it now. I understand why it's taking so long
Yeah,
because I am impressed.
it I don't want to get my hopes too up to like get like another cyberpunk situation.
I understand that completely, but this is a good this what they showed off. Take as much time if your game is like that. Take as much time as you need to because now that I know what you're aiming for with Perfect Dark, I'll I'll wait patiently till the game releases.
Yeah, and also like development hells for like games doesn't like it doesn't like doom a game like initially. Like one of the biggest examples of this, Doom 2016.
Right.
That game wasn't
Development
like
hell for a while and it's considered one of the best shooters of 2016.
yeah. But yeah, what I found interesting was that they're they're not doing a GoldenEye style game anymore. They're doing a more like immersive sim kind of like
I'm really
Dishonored.
happy they're doing that. Dishonored, Deus Ex, that type
Yeah,
of experience because it's headed by one of the main directors from Crystal Dynamics. Not to mention, Crystal Dynamics is basically helping out with the project. To
yeah.
see that they're going in that direction, good. At least it's not like another GoldenEye shooter. Like it, you're doing agent things. Not to mention to do like martial arts combat. You see through the animations. You see you can sneak around corners, do parkour like Mirror's Edge, like all these immersive stuff. Like I didn't think that was what I wish I even thought of that to begin with. And now that I see it in concept, I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
But the funny thing is, I remember somebody saying about they were talking about GoldenEye, and they said it's one of the most influential console shooters, and how like you play a shooter on console, but it's boring as like fuck because they're not
Well,
like actually doing James Bond things.
no, it's just really impressive because it was around the time when you actually had a joystick because 3D was still the new thing. And to be able to play shooters on console is one of the rarer things to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, Doom was on the SNES, I believe, but to have a 3D shooter,
yeah, with like boom. Yeah, Perfect Dark. It,
if your game,
it
if the whole game is like that,
yeah, but
I'm
like
looking forward to it.
I want that game. Give it to
Yes,
me. But yeah,
I do want to mention since another game we haven't heard of and has reports of development hell was State of Decay 3 from Undead Labs.
my like relationship with State of Decay is that we're probably gonna play it like State of Decay 2 soon.
Right. I did boot it up, seeing what the gameplay is. It seems pretty interesting.
I have not played a second or seen like I think I've seen less than a minute of gameplay from State of Decay,
Mhm.
like from one and two. Is it like a top-down shooter?
It's a 3D over the shoulder shooter, but the main thing is that you play as characters where permadeath is involved. That character you play as dies, and you're introduced into a completely new one, and you have like survival elements. Not like uh,
Survival, like
it's not. I think there are survival elements. Granted, I haven't gotten too far in the game, and me and you can experience this soon when we eventually get around to playing that in one of our co-op nights. But I know permadeath is like one of the big main things for State of Decay 3.
yeah, I knew that too. That's like the main draw of like you don't get to play as one character. You recruit characters that you play as.
Right. And in this game, the from what Undead Labs has said is that their goal is to make every character more impactful upon death. Like they want their death to matter. Not to say
I
that the other games didn't, but maybe they're trying to do make it even more impactful than what it was and have more relationships and kind of just connect with the character, and when they eventually die to do due to something stupid that you did while playing them, you feel that emotional loss compared to what you may experience in say K2. Then again,
I
I don't know for sure.
I think what they were trying to like do with that goal is that instead of like having randomly generated like player characters, you have like kind of like almost a wide array of like NPCs that you get to play as with
Mm,
their own like backstories and like their own goals.
mm.
Yeah, State of Decay 3, I think that was a full CG trailer.
I
If I'm
think it was a combination of CG and gameplay because once they brought out the guns, I immediately recognized that was the gameplay.
yeah. But
Granted, I
yeah,
can understand how that's a CG trailer. I think the goal behind this trailer is to say this is what it's going to look like because State of Decay 2 is not the most graphically impressive game. It
yeah,
runs well on my PC, but it's not like Perfect Dark level or Hellblade 2 graphical fidelity where you can see like the pores on their skin type thing. And in this trailer, you don't see that level of graphical fidelity, but it is setting the tone of what they're trying to achieve.
yeah, yeah, it's just and it's kind of like shocking that it's State of Decay is like the zombie game that's kind of like survived the zombie boom.
Mm. And maybe
And
this will be the game that finally it's like one of the rare zombie games I can actually get into. Left 4 Dead is a rare exception.
the zombie games that I got into was Resident Evil.
For
But
me, I think zombie games are like overrated.
yeah, zombie games do kind of like I think everybody's just burnt out. Like
It's crazy to think because you don't have a lot of them, and yet it's like as soon as I see a zombie game, I just like ugh.
whenever I see a zombie game, I just remember the Angry Joe like bit where he says, "Hey Joe, want to play a zombie game?" And like every time it's a different game.
Is it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Another Dying Light 1 and 2. I've heard great things about that because of its combat mechanics and whatnot.
That's parkour zombie game, right?
Right.
Yeah. Um. What other games? Oh yeah, Claire Obscure Exhibition.
I was just about to mention that game because that is one that did impress me. Claire Obscure Expedition 33. So when I was watching the reveal, I was like, okay, graphically impressive game. What is this gonna be? And then next thing you know, it cuts to like Persona turn like combat and reminds me of like Lost Odyssey from the 360. And I was like, oh man, this is something.
The thing is, that was everyone's reaction. They were like, "Oh,
Yes, because
like,"
I have never heard of this game before, never heard of this studio until this showcase. And I see it, I'm like, huh? Like this is like an actual modern turn-based RPG, same akin to Baldur's Gate 3.
and one of the things that like really shocked me is that they're taking the devs of this game are big RPG fans. Like they said, they listed off like 7 games that
Kingdom
were
Hearts,
inspired.
Persona. One of them said Near Automata, Connor. Near Automata, one of my
But like
favorite games.
one of the things I noticed in the gameplay is that they're having the timed stuff from like Paper Mario and like uh Chrono
Another
Trigger.
example, like yeah, Chrono Trigger. I was gonna say Sea of Stars as a recent example
Yeah, and that but that also like took inspiration from
from
Chrono Trigger.
is Chrono Trigger, and then a little bit from because of the time-based actions. I would say the Mario Luigi RPG games. You know, like
Yeah,
Bowser's Inside Story.
yeah, I saw like the time like based actions in the trailer, and I also saw you can like aim your like moves.
Mm.
Like you can actually like when you select a like move you want to do on an enemy, if it's like a kind of like shooting move, you can aim it at like any body part of the enemy.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was a really shocking game, and another example of how this showcase had something for everyone.
yeah.
Turn game,
And it's made by a French studio too.
and it's gonna be Persona but French.
I remember seeing on X as well that people were saying, finally, a turn based game that is not set in a high school setting. I kept seeing people reply to that same tweet that there are a lot of RPGs that do not have a high school setting. They mentioned like Xenoblade, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, as well as other thing choices of turn-based RPGs, not necessarily Japanese RPGs.
Yeah, yeah. The setting of a game is gonna be interesting.
Hmm.
One thing I really want to like know is that are we gonna have like 33 like companions?
I that I'm unsure of. I feel like that is something we will learn once we
Yeah,
get closer to 2025 because that's the date they have it set at right now.
because the only 2 companions I can like remember from the trailer is boy and girl.
Yeah, One's an old man, another one's a younger guy, and then a girl in a ponytail. But then again, this is like just a reveal of the gameplay. I don't think we're
Yeah,
supposed to know characters and all that just yet. Main thing is that they're showing that it has graphical fidelity, but it's also turn-based combat, and that's exciting.
and it's like it's doing like really interesting things with the turn-based combat, like the free aim.
Right. Like it's adding action into it. Like
It, it's adding,
it's still turn-based, but it keeps you engaged.
yeah, it's adding layers to the turn base.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was another like surprise that like a lot of people are like really interested in.
Hmm.
Um, I'm looking at some of the other games. Oh yeah, Flintlock: The Seeds of Dawn.
That is a game I'm interested in. In the last couple of days, I got the chance to play the demo on Steam Fest.
Wait, there's a demo out?
Yes, as of recording this, the 10th through the 14th or 17th, I don't remember. They have a demo available for people to try so they can get feedback. I had the opportunity to sit down and play through the demo, play for about an hour or two. I
Uh,
Go ahead.
I also saw like the release date was really soon,
Oh
and
yeah,
like
it's like in July.
yeah,
Like
and
that is a summer game to play.
the thing is, I also this is my first time seeing this game like at all.
I've seen it before, and I've been following it for a while because I was interested. Because what drew me in was that it was going to be like a God of War like experience on Xbox.
Yeah, I, I it really just looks really interesting. The combat looks interesting with like your fox
Mm-hmm.
guy, your little
And a
fox,
hatchet and flintlock pistol,
and a
literally.
gun.
Yeah.
Games are better when you can just shoot your enemies.
So what I played in the demo, in the trailer, did you see Souls Light or Souls Like?
I think I read it as Souls like.
So that's what's been going around. I rewatched the trailer and it said Souls Light, and it's true. It's not as hard as a Souls-like experience from FromSoft or maybe Liza P. You can actually choose to get difficulty in this game,
Okay.
and the combat is like God of War 4, but you have to keep in mind some enemies will have armor that you need to crack down. The Fox does have a role to play in this game where you have ultimate powers. Like Atreus, it can also attack the enemies for you and can unlock this ability where you can knock their armor off, leaving them vulnerable to have more damage on. But where the Souls light element comes in is where you have your bonfire system, your souls system where you have to kill enemies and then get your currency to upgrade your abilities. But the thing about that is that the if you do so well in the combat, it'll have performance stats. Say like Batman Arkham, any of the Batman Arkham series. You do well in combat, the more you make successful combos. You can also do like a bonus combo to where you can down an enemy once. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's that yellow bar in the far left.
Yeah, in Batman Arkham Knight, where you can do a special combat combo where
Yeah,
you have like BY and you break the goon's arm. What happens in this game is that you don't take damage and you keep doing consecutive hits, dodge at the right time. You have a score multiplier that once you defeat the enemy, you can add that to your already currency and it boosts up the amount of currency you get. Last couple of times, I'm terrible at dodging in this game, so the highest I would get is like maybe 25%, and it would also boost up the currency so I could get another upgrade in the game.
so like yeah, good game design. You're rewarded for like playing the game well,
Right,
but it's not like you're actively being punished. It's like you get more, you don't get less.
right. There was also some bugs in this game in the demo. I think it'll be ironed out, but hopefully it will be soon. It was mainly like audio bugs. The main character, four, I think her name was. I'll get into the story elements here in a bit. Then again, I've only played an hour. Uh,
Mhm.
the Fox character they have was like the audio for that was way lower than the main character, and it was a weird experience having to turn on my headphones just to hear the Fox, and then the main character immediately talks, and I'm like, oh my god, you know.
Yeah,
I will say the presentation, you can tell it's a double A game. Like it, animations look a little stiff, but I'm not. If you're not expecting AAA quality with this game, I think you should be. I think you'll have a good time with the combat and what they're trying to go for. I am interested in what they got coming up soon, and it's gonna be in Game Pass too. So if anybody has Game Pass, me and you in particular, we do. We can just download it and try it day one.
yeah, yeah. That game looks it looks interesting. I will probably give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's given me a lot of. Have you heard of Evil West?
I have in fact.
I played a little bit of it. It's like a double A game, and
I think it's gonna be the same with Flintlock Siege of Dawn. The story, however, I, f- I feel like when I was playing it, it was trying to rush through it like quickly, like get to the gameplay fast. And I'm like, you already see, you already see like a character die in the beginning that's supposedly important, but I felt nothing when it did happen.
I yeah, that's gonna be. I think uh, narrative in like getting pacing in games is a hard thing to do
Mm-hmm.
because like you don't know how fast a player is gonna play, but
Mm-hmm.
also like you don't want to like rush things to the gameplay. You want to like things to like settle, but you also don't want them to like overstay the welcome.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard balance. Pacing is.
Right. And maybe it'll be different. I don't know if the narrative stuff will change, but I know like I'm hoping the studio does fix the audio glitches that I was experiencing. I already seen that some feedback was being relayed to the developers, that being one of them. But
Yeah,
overall, I do think I am wanting to give this game a chance because I do think it'll be like a good game. Probably not best of the year, but like a good indie double A summer game like I've tried before.
yeah. It's another like it's another niche game that's gonna find its audience.
Mm.
Um, a game that I'm cautiously like looking at is Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. I'm just like I'm interested, but after what I experienced with Valhalla, I'm like stay away. Especially with
Ubisoft,
my disagreements of how they're running AC now. I'm like, ugh.
it it looks so cool
But at the
that
same time, I'm just like, it's Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, you can only make. I haven't played like all of their games, but what I played, they're just painfully mediocre.
I think Assassin's Creed Origins is like a good 9 out of 10
Yeah.
for me. Like, I love that game. Assassin's Creed 4, same thing. It has problems, but I loved it.
Th thing about Assassin's Creed games that I don't pay attention enough to, but it's kind of like shocking how they like had such a simple premise that they kind of bogged down with like future time, like mental time travel.
I think
Like,
it's because of different writers and losing consistency in what they wanted to do for, which is why they eventually pivoted to historical fiction RPG, which is not my favorite thing in the world.
yeah, the thing with Assassin's Creed games for me is that they just have a simple premise of like you play an you play an assassin for this order that's been around forever
Mm-hmm.
in like a set time
Like you
period.
see the true history as it is. And I think AC Shadows kind of has that, especially with Yasuke or
Mm,
How do you pronounce the male character's name?
I
Yasuke?
think, yeah, I think I want to say Yasuke, but like, y
I feel like it may be Yasuke, but listeners, if we get it wrong, sorry. We're
yeah,
trying our best. But the
but I
main thing
do.
is it's a black character that has been mentioned in some Japanese historical texts that he is an actual historical figure, and we're seeing him as like as Assassin's Creed is known. We're in the games. We're seeing the true history, and this is a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, and I do like how they're splitting up like the gameplay styles of like kind of like the samurai of like fighting multiple enemies, like hack and slash,
And an actual stealth assassin
like ninja.
like that. If anything, if I do pick up AC Shadows, I don't plan on it, but I may change my mind. I'm probably going to play as the female character that is the assassin. Naoe, is that her name?
I think so.
If
And
I
like,
mispronounced her name, my bad. But
yeah,
main thing is, I look for stealth in Assassin's Creed. It's not like Splinter Cell or Dishonored stealth, but I like being an assassin in an Assassin's Creed game, and that's the character I probably play through. But I have heard you can switch between each character as you play through the game. You don't have to strictly stick to one.
yeah, yeah. I'm probably gonna be in the same boat as you. From the little I've played of Assassin's Creed games, I played Black Flag,
Mm-hmm.
and like I think Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh,
Does
that
2
is the
have
one a lot of people love.
does 2 have a Leonardo da Vinci in it?
Yep.
I think that I played that one. The stealth did kind of get massively dated. And I know like some of the modern Assassin's Creed games have kind of moved away from like stealth. So like
Origins is what started. I love that game, but I do admit that it's where it started to strive away from Assassin's Creed. Odyssey is where it really delved away from it, and they the same people that made Odyssey are the ones that are making Assassin's Creed Shadows, and they're
and
great developers. And I like Odyssey, but at the same time I don't like it.
I do hope they Oh yeah, Mirage released like last year.
Mm-hmm.
I but I do want to like hope they do kind of like improve on the stealth in like this game.
From what it seems like it will, but only time will tell when it finally releases. So for me, it's a maybe, not immediate. Like I gotta be there day one.
To me, it's probably gonna be like if it's like on a sale that I'm like gonna be happy with.
It's probably gonna take a little longer for this game because it's, from what I've heard online, this game is selling in
Yeah,
pre-orders.
it's gonna be it's gonna like gain hype because it's a lot of Assassin's Creed fans just were waiting for like Assassin's Creed in Japan.
Hmm. And rightfully so because Ghost of Tsushima, that is like the closest you can get besides like Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm cau- cautiously optimistic about Assassin's Creed Shadows.
And speaking of cautiously optimistic, Dragon Age: The Veilguard that was revealed here.
Uh, Dragon's it isn't Dragon Age Mass Effect but fantasy.
Yes, it's made by BioWare and specifically Dragon Age Origins 2 and Inquisition. And BioWare has been a tough spot right now with Andromeda failing, Anthem failing, and now this is basically like their last stretch.
Yeah, it's like
And the reveal trailer did not do that justice.
it was kind of like a Suicide Squad, like the bad
It's like
one.
an Overwatch presentation because it is a single player game. But the thing
Mm,
is, this game started as a live service game until eventually changed somewhere in the development timeline. Now it's a single player game with choices and companions you can play as. And I'm glad we're recording this episode after the gameplay has been revealed because say we record it when it wasn't, I would be more worried than I am right now.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know a lot about Dragon Age. I think it's the game with like a really good magic system.
Magic, I don't know, but
Maybe I'm thinking
basically,
of Dragon's Dogma.
Dogma
Yeah,
could be Dragon Age. Basically, all the good things you hear about Baldur's Gate 3, I'm pretty sure Baldur's Gate 3 took a lot of inspiration from Dragon Age Origins because backgrounds, character creation, uh, different builds you can make, and great, well written companions was all made in Dragon Age Origins.
yeah,
And Dragon Age has had this history of changing combat and how gameplay works, with Dragon Age 2 being more combat or action like, and Dragon Age Inquisition, which is a mix between the two. With Veilguard, and this is after the gameplay revealed. Just, and as we said, the reveal trailer did not do this game justice because it made it seem like it was going to be an Overwatch clone, and it's not. It's not going to be that. So in the gameplay, it showed that it's going to be an action game, and it's going to be more like Mass Effect, where you have your choices, where you have the little wheel, and then you have like your smiley option, your frown option, and which direction you can take in your choices. Overall, this game looks amazing. Like straight up, it looks great.
yeah. It does look good too. When you said that, I didn't know it was gonna originally be a live service game,
Mm-hmm.
and
You could see why. You could see that now with the reveal trailer looking like it would be an Overwatch game.
yeah, it. I do like how we're getting away from live service games with like, sadly, Rock, Rocksteady being like the martyr with Suicide Squad. Like,
I thankfully didn't play that game, but I know it's not that great.
yeah, it just live service games are. I'm glad they're dying out because they're just kind of feel like inherently greedy
Hmm.
and like they're trying to be single player games where like you you can't play it single player.
Hmm.
But yeah, Dragon Age, I would I would like to try a BioWare game at one point. I've never played one of them.
I would
I'll
say,
probably
from what Bioware has said about this game, you don't have to play the other games to play this one. You can just jump straight in and you'll be fine. This is going to be more action based. From the way that it's written, from the way that it looks that I've seen in the gameplay reveal, and I encourage listeners and you, Connor, after the show to look at the gameplay. It looks a lot better than what the reveal trailer did because it does have some darker tones, and voice acting is great. And I think this, it's probably, if you set your expectations that it's going to be a Baldur's Gate 3 experience, you're setting yourself up for failure. What I think is that this game is just going to be something unique on its own. It's it's probably going to show some live service elements, and hopefully it doesn't show a lot of it. But I do think it may be a Mass Effect like experience in a Dragon Age skin, and I just hope that I'm not the biggest fan of Fireware, but I do think if this one sticks the landing, and it doesn't have to be the greatest game of all time, it just has to be a solid, good RPG. I think BioWare can have a chance, so we can finally, Mass Effect fans can finally have their next game, and Dragon Age fans can be happy with this one.
yeah, like nobody likes to see a video game company fail.
I.e., Tango.
Yeah, but
Still stinks.
yeah, I'm gonna be like ever need. I'm gonna be like one of the three ghosts in Phil Spencer's house on Christmas.
Like it sucks overall, but it's just that's the reality we're in now. But I will say at least Tango went out with a bang with making one of the greatest games of 2023.
Yeah. But
But
yeah, Dragon Age does.
and it
Uh,
is coming out in the fall of 2024. No set release date as of recording this episode, but I do think this will be a good RPG.
yeah. Um, Two games I want to talk about before we end this because a lot of the other games that got like talked about were just expansions
Yeah,
and like games
like
were at
Diablo
two.
4 expansion, the War of Warcraft. That doesn't really interest me. From I think we. What's the other game you're wanting to mention? Because it may be one I'm forgetting.
Uh, Gears of War and Call of Duty. I'll start with Call of Duty because I
Well,
don't have a lot
no
to say.
wonder. Like for me, I think we've covered all the games I'm interested in. I think these may be your fieldhouse more than me.
There are games I want to keep an eye out on.
Okay.
Call of Duty, Black Ops 6. I watched like a clip that was traveling around on Twitter of like them describing how they change the movement of a game,
Hmm.
where you can sprint in 360 directions. Like you
Hmm.
can sprint backwards and back, and like right or left.
Yeah, that's the same thing I've seen as well. Like they made animations for every single movement instead of it being like the janky prone then turn. Like you actually roll over to the side instead of like having your feet kicked back.
And I remember just seeing a comment, and it's just Call of Duty Max Payne, and it just reminds me of like games will like do everything to like innovate when in reality they're just like doing stuff games 20 years prior did.
I mean, as long as the game is fun, it's worth
Yeah,
playing.
like
If it
I've been
innovates something, great. But I think personally, I think we are kind of hitting to where we're getting rare occasions of innovation.
yeah, I'm excited for Call of Duty coming to Game Pass because I've been wanting that Call of Duty itch of just like having a game I know how to play and just booting it up for multiplayer and just playing it for like an
And that
hour.
could be a great opportunity for us because I haven't played a Call of Duty game in years. And Black Ops 6, from campaign wise and like you said, multiplayer wise, it interests me, but it's not going to be what I'm looking out for. But
Yeah,
because it's in Game Pass, I can download it, me and you can play, and we can just see how it is. And if we don't like it, it's not going
it'll
to bother
be
me.
it's gonna be fast food game.
Mm.
And I do hope we get more traditional zombies in this game.
Right, they did mention round-based zombies this time around.
Groovy. And a final game I'm interested in, but like I do want to like see more of is the God of War's E-Day. There's a cinematic trailer.
Gears of War. I think you said
Yeah,
Gods of War.
oh, Gear, Gears of War.
E-Day.
Yeah, E-Day.
Would you consider yourselves a Gear fan?
No, because Gears always just has like an inch. I wanted to like a Gears game, and I haven't played all of them. I played like one a little bit, and what I noticed from that is that the enemy, like the feet, enemy feedback of you shooting at them just felt terrible. But I do want to like try like some of the modern ones where that might be like remedied a little bit. Yeah, I just want to see more of this. It's
For,
gonna be a prequel.
for me, Gears is not the biggest franchise that I like. I've tried before. If I try again, maybe I'll change my mind. But right now, Gears is not for me. If you like it, you like it. For me, it's just like, okay, not my favorite Xbox franchise, but whoever likes it, to each
Yeah,
their own.
Gears of War has like a player base fan base, and it's been I think it's been like 5 years since the last Gears game,
Yeah, the last one was Gears 5, I believe.
and it was like in 2019, which I thought was longer since then.
Mm. But that is the end of the Xbox showcase.
Yeah, we've
So
missed
I think.
so,
Go ahead.
we missed a few games, but like these were just ones that me and you found like really interesting.
Mm. And we have a lot of thought. We had a lot of thoughts on. And out of all the games, what would you say is your most anticipated?
Doom.
Yeah, it's hard to say for me because every single one of these games I really am looking forward to, and it's hard to choose.
Yeah,
But I think
yeah,
my
for,
first pick would have to be Avowed.
yeah. Avowed's a close second for me. I just it just has such a unique art direction to it that I just have to love it.
I think I'm just ready to play another Obsidian RPG.
Yeah,
But overall, every other game I am looking forward to in 2025 and possibly later this year.
yeah.
But one company we did not mention was Nintendo. As of recording this, there hasn't been an announcement of a Nintendo Direct. So to close the show, I do want to do this. What is one good guess we have for that Nintendo Direct? It could be a game we know for sure is going to be there, and a second one, it could just be a spitfall, like crazy, like what if this game would happen idea.
F-Zero reboot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah. The next Nintendo Direct's gonna be a big one because they're most definitely gonna announce the successor to the Switch.
Really, because I think some others disagree with that and think it's just going to be like announcements of the remasters.
Yeah, but they're getting to that point where like it's not releasing this year.
I'm confident it's releasing in 2025. Like
Yeah,
it's going
it's
to be
gonna.
another Switch. I think it's going to release in the spring, like the Switch did. It's not going to be the Switch 2 because they don't. Well, I believe Nintendo does not want to do a repeat of the Wii U mistake again. They're going to relabel it something else. But internally and with people that keep up with gaming news like me and you, we refer it as the Switch 2 just to call it something.
It's gonna be the successor to the Switch. Like
Right.
it's gonna. There's like rumors it's gonna be like a backwards compatible.
I
It's
hope it
gonna.
is because if it's not,
That's gonna.
oh, that'll just sting. It's like that's a very Nintendo thing to do.
Yeah.
Like I hope the thing is we could sit here and say, "Oh yeah, it's not going to happen," but it's Nintendo. They can't figure out online for goodness sake. That's why I coined Nintendo as like the grandfather of gaming. They are traditional with making great games, but anything new outside of that, they're terrible at.
They, I, they still use cartridges.
I'm
Like
fine with using cartridges because
yeah, but
I have physical copies of my games when most of my library is digital. Like
yeah, like
it's cool to finally like own Xenoblade, man. But
yeah,
I don't mind like I can understand the appeal of having it digitally. Like I
yeah.
appreciate both.
I'm not criticizing that it's on cartridges. It's just that they're
You're
the
saying like they use cartridges in their games.
yeah, they're the only games that uses cartridges game company that uses cartridges anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I also remember hearing that that's like the biggest problem with porting games like from different consoles to the Switch is that like cartridge hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the I do want the Switch successor to be able to at the very least run PS4 and Xbox One games.
Right. I'm not expecting to be Series X quality because I do think Nintendo their philosophy with not trying to aim for power is justified because I like graphics, but graphics can only be appealing to a team. And art
Yeah,
direction I think is basically the way to go in development because if you have good art direction and style, it can last for years to come.
yeah.
And
Dishonored still looks great, and it's purely from like art direction.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, predictions on like what games
Okay,
have.
the realistic one I'm thinking of, a game like both of us can agree, or at least we're hoping to see the Switch 2, but this won't be a part of like the.
Yeah.
Okay. Me and you are hoping for the Switch 2 to finally be announced.
Mhm.
Okay, so what I think is a realistic thing to expect is I did did Luigi's Mansions 2 HD get a release date? Can you look that up? If not, that is my realistic prediction,
Jamie, can you look this up?
please.
Let me do. Wow, I can't spell Luigi. Luigi's Mansions 2.
HD for the Switch. Because that is a remaster coming, because that's a year Door has happened.
June 27th.
Okay, so that's been announced.
Yeah.
Uh, the thing is, because we have so many of these remasters, I honestly don't know what Nintendo has up their sleeve. They could have Metroid Prime 4 for all we know, and they just drop it in this
Oh
fall.
yeah.
Like, that game's
That
been dormant for all we know. Like, it could be a Switch 2 game for all we know, or they just been hanging on to it for so long that they finally decided to release it.
yeah, it's probably gonna be like a Pikmin 4 situation where they just drop it out of nowhere. But a game I would comfortably say I have two guesses. A Wii U port of like a fan favorite game. The one
Don't get my hopes up, man. Do not get my hopes up. I do not want to hear Twilight and Wind Waker come out of your mouth because it has been so long to see those remasters or ports, and it still hasn't come.
I don't have like a game specifically. I'm just guessing like a safe bet, a Wii U port.
Okay.
But one game I do want to like make a out there guess for a new. It's probably too early, but I'm gonna say a new 3D Mario.
I would also say that's a safe bet in a way, but I
And
don't know. It could be out there.
it probably could be the headline for of a Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't they need a headline game for it, like
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild, and I don't think there's gonna be a Smash game anytime soon.
I don't think
Uh,
so either. If
I
anything, I feel like in terms of Smash, they're probably going to reboot it in some way. Because Smash
that
Ultimate, how do you compete with that?
you can't.
You can't. Like you, I'm thinking maybe Sakurai may think of what can I do to change up the Smash because we've been
Is he
doing the same thing.
is he still like on like working on Smash?
I think so.
Huh.
If he isn't, that's my fault for not knowing. But as far as I'm aware, he stopped making YouTube videos on his channel so he can get back to making games. It may not be. I don't think it is directly Smash related. He could be making a Kirby game for all we know.
He could be making a Kid Icarus game.
That is an out there pick.
Yeah. The thing is, the games I want to see Nintendo go back to are the out there reaches like Kid Icarus,
F
uh,
Zero.
F-Zero.
Technically, they did do a recent F Zero game.
Yeah,
I love it. You're just like, eh.
yeah. It,
You're just like, I mean, I'll take what I can get, but it's not what I want.
yeah, it's like I would love to see them. Nintendo, they don't port a lot of their old games, but I would love to see them port the GameCube F-Zero onto the Switch.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, there isn't there rumors of like a new Pokemon game coming
Right,
out soon?
Z-A coming in 2025. That's a Switch 2 game, if anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
they said Nintendo Switch as well, but I feel like it's going to be on, you know,
yeah.
the Switch 2.
Yeah, like Nintendo is just such a wild card at this moment because they've kind of released their big games this year. Mario Wonder, Mario RPG remake, 10,000 Mario 4.
The thousand year door.
Yeah,
the
1,000.
10th, just so the audience knows, we're recording at 10:42 p.m. our time, so it's
And
getting pretty late for us.
I ran out of Gatorade and my mouth is getting kind of parched. But
Oh, I've been parched for a while, buddy, but I'm gonna keep going.
yeah. But yeah, they've kind of released a lot of their like big name games this year already.
Hmm.
Their next game right now is the Princess Peach game.
I think that released too.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But
See, like we just don't know. That's
like I think this direct probably gonna have like it's either gonna have some massive announcements or it's probably gonna just have
or it's gonna
a
drop the ball entirely.
yeah.
Okay. What's a realistic game? Because I already have my out there pick because I've been wanting Nintendo to make this game for God knows how long. Uh, a safe bet would be I'm gonna go with you. Maybe a Wii U port, some sort of remaster of a game that I can't think of. Maybe maybe a port of Metroid Prime 2 or 2 and 3.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the
If
trilogy.
Metroid Prime 4 is going to be near Switch 2 territory, they can sell those remasters or ports, whatever they do with them.
Yeah, and it would make sense because like
It'll
you
keep,
want
yeah, you won't get caught up in the timeline.
yeah, they did it with Pikmin. Like you can play all four
Spe-
Pikmin games on the Switch.
Speaking of which, Metroid Prime remaster, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got mine.
Oh
Still
really?
haven't.
Oh cool.
Yeah.
Still haven't played this game yet because Xenoblade has been taking my life.
Yeah.
Oh, um, maybe this is a safe bet. A new game from Molotov, the same developers that did Xenoblade.
When did Xenoblade 3 release?
It released in 2022, I believe.
Gee, yeah, we could get an announcement because that 2 years development, you can announce it, get another like year in.
Right. Because the
Yeah.
way that Nintendo works, with some of their games, they're not taking 6 or 8 years. Maybe
Yeah,
like the
it's
rare occasion, like Tears of the Kingdom, that needed polish for the physics engine because of their GDC talk about how the physics was really the main problem that they were facing. And maybe that is like I feel like they have the development cycle that'll go 4 or 5 years, and they could easily go up to 6 if they choose to. But
there's obviously like outliers in like Pikmin 4,
yeah,
Metroid Prime 4,
right.
but like the average like development cycle for like a Nintendo game feels like around 2 to 3 years, maybe four.
Okay, so I'm gonna say for two choices that are safe bets, maybe like you said, Wii U port or some sort of remaster at the end of the year. Another safe bet is what else is Mala Salta's working on? Does it have to be a game of this year? Maybe just an announcement. Because if they announce the Switch 2, like they did with the Switch, they announced Xenoblade 2 is coming to it.
Yeah. Another safe bet I would have probably as this filler for the direct, maybe Tears of a Kingdom DLC.
I think Alan Numa and the rest of the team said they're not going to make Tears of the
Oh,
Kingdom DLC,
yeah,
which sucks.
because
But at the same time, I'm thinking like I don't blame them for saying that because honestly, it doesn't really need DLC.
yeah,
Because if anything, if the DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, if they did make DLC, is like Breath of the Wild, I don't want it.
yeah, was it like just
Master Mode, uh, Champions, Ballad, and then Master Trials. I like Master Trials a lot.
which one did you get a bike for?
That was Champions Ballad.
Okay.
Champions Ballad disappointed me. The Master
Yeah.
Trials I liked a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, Nintendo is just such a wild card at this moment
Hmm.
that we can't really pinpoint what's gonna come out from
Mm.
them.
So, what would you say is your wild card pick? Unless you already said it.
Wild card?
Anything F-Zero or Kid or Chris, you
You
already know.
know what? I'm gonna like huff huge amounts of copium. I'm gonna think Capcom is gonna like announce they don't want to. They know they're like niche for this franchise. They're gonna announce a new Ace Attorney game.
I would be excited for you if you did get that.
Yeah, I still need to beat the Great Ace Attorney, and I need to get All Justice Collection.
Mm.
Like the only games they haven't ported over to are like the Edge Edgar Edgeworth's like spin-off games, like the
Oh,
two.
is that a Japan exclusive?
One of them is like the second one, the first one isn't.
Okay.
But yeah, it just you can't really just it's too early to tell.
Hmm.
Like Nintendo's in like a changing period.
Right. My wild card pick is that they make a Mario Luigi RPG game. I don't care, like a brand new Mario Luigi game. I want one. The studio closed down. I hate that. I want another Bowser's Inside Story or Dream Team like game again because I think I didn't appreciate them when they came out, and I appreciate them now. Like I want to see another one.
Yeah, it Nintendo just has a lot of games, franchises that like you do want to see like come back. Like Punch Out, that's a game franchise that I haven't their last game was like on the Wii,
Hmm.
I would think.
It's like
And
with any other company, they have like this vast amount of IPs, and they're not doing a whole lot with.
yeah.
Banjo is the big one, or at least the fans are so loud that it makes it big.
Yeah. Yo, Bloodborne ported to the Nintendo
Uh,
Switch 2.
Imagine that happens. It gets a Nintendo Switch 2 port, but God forbid a PC port.
Oh, that would be like that would be the saddest and funniest thing to happen
It
all
really
at
was. Oh yeah, Lego Horizon Adventures. That is one game I forgot about in this Summer Games Fest.
Horizon's Dawn is like the most industry plant video game I ever seen.
I do
Like
want to give it a shot before I say that though.
the thing is, they have robot dinosaurs. I've heard nothing about the game with robot dinosaurs in it. I'm like, huh?
Yeah. All right, everybody. So what we're gonna do now? You see us in different clothes, and we're looking a little different than we were previously. And the reason why is because around the time I was editing the second episode, Nintendo just happened to drop a direct on us out of nowhere, as they usually do. And I thought it would just be best to add this segment instead of committing to an entire new episode. Fitting knockoff E3. Ain't that right, Connor?
It sure is. We got the trifecta here: the Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, and
And
whatever
then,
Jeff Lee did.
yeah, whatever Jeff Keighley had. So, how about we get started with the first announcement that the Nintendo Direct had?
Was it? I didn't watch it fully.
Mm-hmm.
I watched. I watched Wario 64. Shout
Mm-hmm.
out to him.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I get all my game coverage from him,
Mm-hmm.
like just announcements. And I was just scrolling through the thread he did on Twitter/X. I I'm never gonna replace it. Twitter's name with X.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they started off with Mario and Luigi, which was your prediction.
Yeah. So a new Mario and Luigi game called Mario and Luigi Brothership is now going to be coming out this year, November 7th, I believe. And that, again, as we did earlier in the episode, that was like a like that was just an out there prediction. Yeah, it wasn't going to happen. It actually happened. We're finally getting a new Mario and Luigi RPG. That is
Yeah,
awesome. And it looks amazing too.
yeah. I'm not too familiar with Mario and Luigi,
Hmm.
but what I know is did it replace the kind of like Mario RPG, Paper Mario, like the Mario RPG franchise for like the DS?
Right. It just kind of it was the RPG that would show up on handhelds, notably with being DS, 3DS games in particular that I do like are Mario and Luigi Inside Bowser's Inside Story, Mario and Luigi Dream Team, and Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. And I've only played Bowser's Inside Story and Dream Team, and I did love those games. And I'm happy to see Mario and Luigi come back in some form. And not to mention they're in HD now, going to be on a Switch, and it looks a lot graphically beautiful and new animations to the moves. Like in the trailer itself, it showed the classic uh, tortoise, no, Koopa shell attack that the Mario Brothers do with a new flashy animation if you can hit the excellent timing on it, and it looked sick.
Yeah. Yeah, the art style really like caught me off guard. I'm not used to like Mario games looking that like that, but it looks great and yeah, Mario RPGs have been something I've been interesting to delve into.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to try the Paper Mario remake that's just released and the
Thousand Year
Mario.
Door. I have Paper Mario Origami King. I do want to get Thousand Year Door. I do want to get Super Mario RPG as well because that was what started it all with. I think it was Paper Mario. No, that then Paper Mario and then Mario and Luigi. And I do want to get to play that game and just listen to the soundtrack and enjoy that adventure.
Yeah, Mar yeah, Mario and RPG have kind of been kind of subsided at the beginning of the Switch's life and kind of like the Wii U era. But now we're starting to get like more and more games
Mm-hmm.
that kind of fulfill that like Nintendo RPG kind of side.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like overall, this direct, I'm gonna speak more broadly now, was kind of like it kind of gave me a bit of copium, kind of, because why would Nintendo drop all of these good games on possibly the last year of the Switch?
Mm-hmm. Because going into it, most of the fans and me and you were my expectations were like low, as low as they can get because I thought it was just going to be remasters with your occasional third party game, and I thought like we're just waiting on the Switch 2, and now we have like games to look forward to with the Switch 2 coming soon.
And I do hope this is a forward sign that there will be uh what is it called? Cross compatibility of the discs,
Oh, backwards compatibility.
backwards compatibility for like the Switch generations.
Hmm.
It's- I hope they don't just drop
It would be a
Metroid.
disappointment if they did,
Yeah,
but maybe there is some hope. But I do want to hold my hopes so I don't get disappointed because Nintendo can easily do that.
yeah. This might be just I'm taking the copium and just hoping that this is a sign for that.
Hmm.
But still, we can't be 100% sure.
Hmm.
But overall, this direct was, I think it gave a little bit of what everyone wanted. There was one thing that, like a certain side of like the gaming community just lost their shit to.
I think.
Two things,
Go ahead.
two things actually. yeah, Metroid and like the Marvel vs. Capcom collection are
Yeah,
like
but
the
we can
big.
go in depth later once we get around to that announcement. But yeah, that is a big announcement. Even though I'm not a big fighting fan, I did see a well-known YouTuber, Max Dude. I think yeah. Well, I read the history on it. He's been advocating for this game to make a comeback.
Yeah, yeah, I'll get into more details of like why this is such a big deal. But overall, I felt like this Switch is an interesting era because we're getting to its last like life cycle.
Hmm.
Like we're definitely getting the next console like around 25, 26. But this really kind of did merge the watching this direct made me realize that Nintendo was able to merge the handheld like audience of Nintendo family and like the family of like home consoles into one console. Because
Hmm.
a lot of these games do kind of seem like they could like a few years ago could either be, oh, that's a DS game. Oh, that's like a Wii game. Like kind of like made for like their respective consoles. Now we're kind of getting those types of games merged into each other.
Hmm.
Uh, Going into more detail, one of the like the big announcements. Do you want to do this chronologically?
Let's try this chronologically, and we can
Okay,
talk in depth. If a game doesn't really appeal to us, we can just move on and say like, it looked alright.
but yeah, an example, Mario and Luigi. That's like always been a handheld console, and we're kind of like starting the direct with that kind of like handheld like family franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And at the tail end, we get like a franchise well known on like the home consoles,
Mm-hmm.
which is I kind of think is interesting retrospect on like how on like what made the Switch so successful is that it was able to like cultivate both audiences of Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. And I think since the Switch's conception, that is like one of the main highlights of it. Because my
Hmm.
Switch is literally right here in the stock, and I can just pull it up right now and play on it and take it with me. For the audience, I'm going to be going on a trip, and I can literally just take the Switch with me, get some games, and play with me on the road.
And if you want to like project Mario on like the plasma TV, you can just like hook it up
Hmm.
with a few like cords.
So,
But
what is the next game that came up after Mario and Luigi?
right after that was the Nintendo World Championship NES edition, which looks interesting. It's
But I feel like that may be for a generation outside of ours.
yeah, it's a game purely marketed at people who like speedrunning those old
Yeah.
NES. I saw like a Zelda game, Mario in the collection, Kid Icarus, Ice Climbers. That's just a few of games I saw in the
Hmm.
highlight.
It's cool, but personally,
Yeah,
I saw it and I was like, okay.
I kind of feel like it's like the Tetris and F-Zero 99s. They're kind of like they're fun gimmick games, sort of. Or like they're fun and like they're good and they've found an audience for them.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not too terribly interested in it either. NES is just game. NES games can age well, but a lot of them just kind of don't.
Hmm.
But yeah, after that we got Fairy Tale 2.
Yeah, I just recognized. Oh, this was an anime. It looked alright, but I never watched Fairy Tale before.
Me neither. It's like that. It's the license game that's on like the
But for
Nintendo
a
Direct.
licensed game, thankfully it wasn't an anime fire. It looked like was it an action RPG?
Yeah, it was like Yeah, it's an action RPG. It kind of reminded me of like I forget which one specific, but those One Piece action adventure games.
Most recent one is a turn-based RPG called One Piece Odyssey.
Yeah, like those types of games. They're not too terribly interesting, but like they're being sold on. If you love this like anime franchise, you want this.
Mm-hmm.
Big example being the Dragon Ball like series of games.
Mm-hmm. Dragon's Ball Sparking Zero looks interesting though it probably doesn't appeal to me since Dragon Ball is not my favorite anime.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the anime games that got announced in this uh bootleg Evo just kind of just didn't interest me. Uh, but yeah, it's just an anime game.
Mm.
After that, they announced Fantasia Neo Dimension
Okay, so I
Dimension.
do know about this game. In fact, so Fantasia Neo Dimension is it was once an Apple Arcade game exclusive, and this game is made by the original creator of Final Fantasy. I don't remember his name right off the bat, but I do know the composer, who was the original composers for specifically Final Fantasy VII as well as early. Sorry, everybody. We had a little recording issue, so now we're back recording again. And we already talked in depth with some our games since we got done talking about Fantasia. So just to run quickly, what did we go over?
We went over a few of licensed IP games, Disney Illusion Island,
Mm-hmm.
Hello Kitty, Looney Tunes. We're not too interested in it, but we do realize that it's gonna it's a niche game for somebody out there that will probably love it. Just we're not like all that into it.
Right.
Um, then we got Mio Memories, which remind me a lot of Hollow Knight and Ori, two very fantastic Metroidvanias. We didn't get a lot of it, but from yeah, what we saw, it does look interesting to us.
And
Any
coming out in 2025 with some other games. So I feel like once we get some more information about this game, it may look a lot more appealing. But for now, we're interested. Just right now, there's not a lot of tangible information to see from our opinion.
Then after those games, we got an Among Us update, which adds three new classes. I haven't played Among Us since it got real big, but yeah, I'm just kind of glad the game has found continuous success. And because what I heard before it got big,
Mm-hmm.
it sat on like the Steam and like phones Google Store front for like a year with barely any players in it. So it's kind of, I'm kind of I do like how the game has boomed in popularity and has been able to maintain that kind of like success for like an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, we talked about Farm Guy.
Yeah, just create. As I was saying before the recording issue happened, I think it looks like a Digimon like farming sim, and at first seeing it, I wasn't that interested. Now, after talking about it, looking at it again about how you grow your creatures and then fight these battles and having a DMC style ranking of how well you did in the battle, I'm actually more interested than I thought I would be, and hopefully there is a demo closer to release because if the demo does pretty well, I may actually get this game, and this may be either solid game or a very mediocre one, but we'll find out soon.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be painfully bad. My lowest expectations can go is that it'll be like mediocre and kind of like forgotten to the sands of time.
Hmm.
But after that, which depending on how you look at it, y'all didn't miss much with a previous recording. We got onto the second big announcement of Direct,
Hmm.
uh, a Wii port of Donkey Kong Country returns.
Now, in our previous connection, we said Wii U. Technically, this is a Wii U game, but I don't think many of us were expecting a Wii port of all things.
Wii U and Wii, they're if you squint your eyes, they're kind of the same.
Yeah, it's like 3DS and new 3DS, you know?
Yeah, like they're the same family of consoles.
Right. So to see Donkey Kong Country Returns, I honestly thought when it started showing up, it was going to be a new Donkey Kong game. I'm just like, finally, they're doing something new. And then I saw the same Tiki Mask from Donkey Kong Returns, and I was like, oh, it's a port. But it's adding the 3DS content that Donkey Kong Country Returns on the 3DS had. So that's going to be cool too. I played Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii a while back. One of the hardest platformers I think I played in a while, as well as Tropical Freeze. Try that. I think it's a little too much for me, but overall, like good games if you're into platformers or just Donkey Kong in general.
Yeah, Donkey Kong has had a successful like history within Nintendo. Like the Donkey Kong arcade cabinet was like y'all know it.
Mm-hmm.
You probably a lot of the younger generations haven't played it, but they know it. But then we got the rare game with the kind of like 3D models, and yeah, Donkey Kong has had kind of I wouldn't say a bad like franchise like overlook, but they've had kind of like a consistent of like, oh, there's probably isn't a Donkey Kong Country game that's horribly bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of am looking forward to this being ported onto the Switch. Wii games getting a second life on the Switch and just probably like getting more popular because of it.
Same thing with Skyward Sword HD. Great game. Originally came from the Wii. Also adds new controls instead of just doing motion controls. So hopefully, Donkey Kong Country Returns can see the same resurgence as Skyward Sword did because I enjoyed that game on the Wii. I enjoyed it again when I played it on 3DS. Well, not 3DS, on the Switch.
But yeah, but we were both right. Wii port.
Yeah, kinda, sorta. I don't,
Uh,
I'm getting more credit for me predicting the Luigi Mario and Luigi RPG game. Like, still, that astounds me that I even predicted that.
hey, both you and me got one thing right.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna
On.
hang on to that one.
Yeah. Um. After that, we got Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake.
Okay, so I've been a fan of like HD 2D for a good bit now, from Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, Star Ocean, the Star Ocean Second Story R, with how gorgeous like pixel art with good lighting and just HD graphics, a mend between modern tech and old art aesthetic with pixel art. I
Mhm.
really do think this Dragon Quest 3 remake, as well as Dragon Quest 1 and 2 getting a remake as well, I think these are going to be great games, and I very much have my eye on this one.
For some reason, I've been living under a rock because I did not hear about this remake at all until this direct.
Hmm.
I am kind of looking forward to it. I do like how instead of just remaking the it fully in 3D, they were kind of like combining it with 2D sprites in a 3D environment,
Hmm.
and the game looks really good. There's a clip of a fight animation with like that goblin thing.
Yeah, like it's so in Octopath 1 and 2, Octopath 1 it would just have the giant bosses, but they're like still kind of motion enemies. And Octopath 2, they finally added in animations for like maybe a strong hit or some sort of attack like that. With this, it seems like they're finally doing like full on animation work for some of the pixel art that they're going to be doing in Dragon Quest.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because I've been wanting to get that like fantasy it RPG. I'm waiting for Avowed, but this can also like scratch that itch too.
Another Dragon Quest XI S on the Switch, that can be another one as well that can scratch that itch.
Yeah.
If you
But
haven't played it though, Connor, there is a demo, and if you don't like the demo, you may not like this game. But if you try the demo, you like it, and you want to get it, your save transfer from the demo to the Switch.
for Dragon Quest 3, there's a demo?
No, Dragon Quest
Ah,
XI S. Dragon
okay.
Quest 3, I hope there is a demo so I can play it and get a taste of what it's like. But I'm just saying, if you want to like give a try to what Dragon Quest is, Dragon Quest XI S is like right up your alley.
Yeah, I do want to try Dragon Quest 3 first. Nothing against 11, but I
Mm.
do love that kind of like the pixel art mesh with 3D environments. Because my favorite Pokemon game is just that, black and white. They've had it's like the most it was the most advanced sprite work they've done for the Pokemon series before they went to 3D, and they had like the 3D environments of like the four bridges of Unova and the like the towns being in 3D.
I would honestly love if the Pokemon Company could li- license out. So Team Asano is the one that is responsible for this HD 2D game art style and genre. I would love Pokemon Company to offer like a license either to a brand new Pokemon game or trying to make an HD 2D remake out of the classic Pokemon titles with the HD 2D art style. I would love that.
Yeah, because going back to older Pokemon games after seeing the rotating sprite animations of Black and White, it just feels so slow on those older Pokemon games. But yeah, it's a style that's gaining more and more popularity recently, especially with the indie scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of sprite work's coming back into the forefront, which I do love some good sprite work.
Two games I can think of: Sea of Stars, Chained Echoes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I I am looking for Dragon Quest 3, and if I love it, I'll probably grab the 1 and 2 HD 2D remake coming out next year. Also, I saw
Wait,
on
is it
Twitter
coming out this year, next year, or
next
this
year.
year? The Dragon
Uh,
Quest 3 remake
it has a release date, November 14th,
for 2025 or 2024?
24.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
the thing is though, Mario and Luigi is like the week before that. So if I want to play both games, it's gonna be a nightmare. I'm gonna have to choose in between. If I did have to choose one or the other, I'd probably go Mario and Luigi.
Yeah. Me personally, I'll probably like go for Dragon Quest 3.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
don't fault anybody like choosing one over the other. It like I do want to get both, but if I do want to play one immediately at launch, I do have to make a decision. I would have to choose Mario and Luigi.
Yeah. But yeah, Dragon Quest 3, I've heard it's kind of a Final Fantasy 7 for Dragon Quest series, in which it's the most kind of like popular one that's kind of like been pushed at like fans wanting to get into it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do like how they're doing the first three games because apparently it's a kind of trilogy within the games.
Yeah, that's what surprised me the most. Like the first game in the trilogy is three. I don't know if it's two then one or it's one then two. But either
Maybe, yeah.
way, that's interesting. That's exciting that all three of them are getting a remake.
Yeah. And I do loved how they revealed the one and two by like penning back
Yeah,
that
like showing the artwork.
yeah. And I know nothing of Dragon Quest except for apparently old games used to do this a lot. They don't do it now. But a lot of Japanese games getting imported into the West would change their box art. Everyone knows the infamous Mega Man box art.
I don't actually.
I need to I need to oh on. Uh I'm gonna find an image of it right soon. But going on, uh a lot of games would change the box art for these like Japanese RPGs
Right,
to be less.
one I think is on the PlayStation 2 Eco. The one on the Japanese box art is like an actual painting, and then the other one is like this weird CGI character models that looks pretty terrible.
Yeah, I remember Final Fantasy 3 or 2 had
Final
a
Fantasy 3 on in the West is actually Final Fantasy 6, I think.
uh,
That's a whole
it had
other thing.
old localization was a mess.
Oh yeah,
But I remember it was kind
dude,
of like,
I'm thinking of the Ghost Story anime movie. That
yeah.
localization, my God, it still astonishes me that they got away with that.
Also, I'm sending you the Mega Man box art,
Okay, I'm gonna add it to the video. Okay, so is this the West or is this the Japanese one?
the West.
Ugh, what's the Japanese one look like?
On, let me. This is the first thing that popped up when you type in Mega Man box art.
Oh no,
But this is probably the original, like kind of the style they were going for. But
dude, look at that.
you can
Not
see
to
like
mention it's like Rock Man, but still.
you can see the differences in how like Western locus Western localizationers, I can't speak.
Localization teams.
Yeah, we're trying to,
Americanize it.
yeah, Americanize it with my example with Final Fantasy is that the box art was kind of like generic 90s fantasy with like something you would see off of a D&D rulebook.
Hmm.
And then the Japanese art was by, I think it was by the same concept artist that's like famous for Final Fantasy. I can't remember his name. But yeah, you can see like the just how they want to create a Macho Man action hero for the West and versus the Japanese kind of like anime-esque. Kind of reminds me of Astro Boy kind of art direction.
Hmm.
But yeah, just Dragon Quest just reminded me that because it too suffered from that kind of like localization back and forth.
Mm.
I'll probably show you after the podcast the Dragon Quest example I saw.
Okay, but the Mega Man example is a pretty good one, and I'll try to add that to the video. Editor's note: Pierce, add this to the video version.
Yeah, it's infamous for a reason.
Yeah, but just to overall round our thoughts of Dragon Quest III remake, I'm looking forward to it, and I do want to pick this up.
Yeah, it looks like a solid remake for a classic game.
Oh yeah,
Next game, after Dragon Quest is Funko Fusion.
I had two Poco. If you're watching the video version, it's blurred out right now. But on top of my Percy Jackson collection, I had two Funko Pops, and that's it.
I have one, and I don't know how it got into my house. It's of Daryl from The Walking Dead,
He just walked in there,
probably.
probably. I saw this game and I was like, ugh,
Uh,
dip down in quality.
yeah. But hey, after that, we got Luigi's Mansion 2 HD.
Yep, another mention from there. If
Uh,
you're, I'm not that interested in Luigi's Mansion 2, but I remember watching videos of playthroughs back in the day.
I do want to play a Luigi's Mansion game.
Mm.
So, like, played and tried it out because
Mm-hmm.
it's been a kind of like fan favorite series for a while.
Like it's getting
Um,
as popular as Mario now because the Luigi's Mansion 3 sold pretty well.
yeah, people like Luigi like more than Mario, possibly. I like
Maybe.
Mario. I like Mario more. But was Luigi's Mansion 2, what console was that on?
That was
Like
on
the
the 3DS. So the way that it was designed is that it wasn't open mansion like the first one in 3 is. You would teleport to all a different set of mansions and you would just go and play these different levels in the mansion. You can't freely explore from what I remember. They may change it in the remake, but as far as I'm aware, they may just have it HD quality to the game and it'll just be same level design. You go in level, you come back, then you go and do another level. Cycle repeats till you get to the end of the game.
yeah, this probably won't be the Luigi Mansions I'll try out first. I'll probably try out Haunted Mansion because it's the newest one. And it'll probably because Luigi's Mansion 2 isn't a remake, it's just an HD like remaster of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Luigi's Mansion feels like there's like it's becoming a yearly franchise for Nintendo at this point. Because when was the last Luigi's Mansion?
Pretty good. I don't think it's really yearly, but it is becoming a popular franchise now where you're
Yeah,
seeing remasters and whatnot. But I
it's
get what
become
you're saying from
yeah.
yearly. It's like we're seeing the series more often now.
Yeah, it's like every direct we're getting more information about it.
Yeah.
Well, not every direct, but like
Like
regular.
you'll see Luigi or some Luigi based game or even this series in particular represented.
Yeah. Yeah, after that we got the new Dimpa Mid,
The
which
what?
is to be honest, this looks like a phone game that got ported onto the Switch, which is eh.
Fantasia is literally a phone game port to the Switch, so.
But like that's like a good phone game. But yeah, nothing really to talk about there.
Okay. I don't
Next
remember
game,
what you're talking about, so that should speak volumes.
next game is also another phone game that's getting ported to the Switch. Metal Slug Attack Reloaded.
That's a mobile game?
Yeah, I was.
I've never heard of that mobile game.
I've never heard of like a lot of mobile games. But yeah, this is getting ported to consoles. It's a deck building tower defense Metal Slug game.
I would like a Metal Gear game, but not Metal Slug.
Metal Slug. I'm Metal Slug has fantastic sprite work. There's like this one sprite of a crab tank that just looks unreal.
Mhm.
But yeah, Metal Slug is just it's by SNK, which is starting to get a lot more traction. They got KOF 15 was a big success for them.
Mhm.
Uh, Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves is gonna be like a their next big game for fighting games. But they've also made like other non-fighting game like arcade cabinets. Uh, remember I know of Athena, Metal Slug, obviously,
Mm.
and some like other sports games. Yeah, SNK is starting to like become more prominent in the gaming sphere. It feels like.
I I don't really have much of an opinion on this, but whoever's excited for this game, kudos to you.
Yeah. Uh, then after that, we got a sequel to a game I want to go back to and like fully delve into, Darkest Dungeon 2.
I've heard some things about Darkest Dungeon franchise. I've heard
Yeah,
that it's rough.
it's kind of like a roguelike. This may sound like kind of like red flag keywords for indie games, but from what I heard about Darkest Dungeon, it's like really fun. It's an RPG, kind of like roguelike dungeon crawler. And what happens is you just go into dungeons. It's very Lovecraft inspired, which is why I want to like go into it.
Mhm.
I do love cosmic horror. And yeah, the sequel just seems to like build upon. I played a little of the first one, but I do want to go back and fully like get into the teeth of the beast.
Okay. I don't think this game is for me. Again, it seems pretty cool, but I don't think I'm gonna be checking this game out.
Then after that, we got Nintendo Online games being announced. Uh,
Mature edition. I thought that was pretty interesting. That it's a whole other segment instead of just adding it to the N64 collection.
when I first saw that, the first thing that came into mind was a Rick and Morty bit where they went into an alternate dimension, and instead of Nintendo 64, it was Nintendo 69.
Oh,
And
nice.
it was just like a porno where a guy was having sex with a
Oh my god.
headset.
Oh, that's
It
But main
it's a
thing
Rick
is, go ahead.
it's a Rick and Morty bit, but yeah, a few games got announced.
Perfect
Zelda,
Dark, one of them.
yeah, perfect. Zelda Four Swords, which
Oh, that's
from my,
not part of the Nintendo 64 Mature Edition, but yeah, that is being added, which is pretty cool.
was there a Switch game? It was three links instead of
It was on 3DS. It's called Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes.
yeah, but yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Um, then we got Metroid Zero Mission, which is possibly one of the earliest remakes before like the remake crave we're in right now of like the Game Boy uh Metroid that was released for the Game Boy Advance alongside wasn't Super Metroid. It was for like the Metroid 4 the GBA
Hmm.
era. Then after that we got Turok. I don't know if it's the Night Dive ports that's being added. But honestly, I would say just play the Night Dive ports. Night Dive has been like really consistent with ports.
Hmm.
But yeah, those are just four games that were added to the Nintendo Online thing. Any comments?
I would think Perfect Dark would be a good game to try. I tried a port on Xbox through Rare Replay. I did like it, and it's basically a more evolutionized take on GoldenEye. I think Rare took the systems they learned from GoldenEye 007 and then worked off of Perfect Dark. But right now, in terms of Perfect Dark, I'm more interested in what Xbox is doing with their take on it, with the Initiative's take on it, and maybe I'll try Perfect Dark in the future. So there is some interest there.
Yeah, like after that Perfect Dark reveal, it's starting to get more eyes to it of like what exactly was the original Perfect Darks and
Mm,
why we're going from GoldenEye like spiritual successor, I would say, not kind of like a copy
yeah,
to like immersive sim, like almost Dishonored kind of like game
Deus
style.
Ex, Dishonor, Mirror's
Yeah,
Edge, just like all these immersive sims that's taking ideas from.
yeah,
But that's a whole other discussion.
yeah. But yeah, those are just emulations for the like Switch Online uh service. Then after that, we got Phantom Brave of Lost Hero. Uh, I don't have any strong opinions about
I
this.
don't either. I don't remember it.
Then, then we got to the big news. One of the big news. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics.
That I am now interested in because of all the hype surrounding this announcement. Because I know Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a fan favorite, and it's been stuck on what console for so long?
360. No, I think it was. I think maybe. I think the earliest console you could get it was for 360, and I know it was like on the PS2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been trapped. All of these games have been trapped on like old console.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these, I don't even think a lot of these had console ports. But yeah, like it's every game Marvel and Capcom has like collaborated with into one collection.
Yeah, I do want to try this game out now. Like looking at the game, I think this will be a fun finding game to have.
Yeah. And also, looking back on Marvel vs. Capcom 2 roster, something funny I found notice is that in the 90s it was like probably the most hype as hell roster you could get in a fighting game for Marvel. Now like it's kind of missing a lot of like the cool characters that would be in like a new MVC game.
Mm-hmm.
There's like no Black Panther, Blade, Deadpool, uh Magic, she's gaining popularity. It's a lot of like X-Men and like the Avengers. That's kind of like what encompasses that like the Marvel side. And for Capcom side, it's just Street Fighter, some Darkstalkers, and some other like characters. We're
What a
not
shame
naming.
Ace Attorney is not in there.
He he is in UMVC 3,
Mm.
which I think has a better roster. You can fight me. I think MVC 3 has a better roster than MVC 2.
I will say the music in VC2 is pretty awesome because I looked up one of the tracks, specifically the character selection song. I've heard that song in YouTube videos and I didn't know where that came from. I was like, that's where it's from? I'm like, this is catchy.
Yeah, it's catchy. It just feels so weird hearing it in a
Oh, yeah,
fighting
in a
kind
fighting
of like
game.
this kind of jazz.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna take you for a ride, you know?
but yeah, I'm Marvel vs. Capcom is a isn't a fighting game I'm like interested in. I will play it because it's Marvel,
Hmm?
but like I am glad it's getting off these like you can like act fans of Marvel vs. Capcom will be able to play it for the first time.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, as a new fan, just seeing what these games are, I do want to try this game out, see what the hype is all about. Not only because the music is pretty good, but I think it'll be fun to have like a '90s kind of collection of old classic arcade titles on my Switch.
Yeah, currently right now my favorite of Capcom like fighting game collections is the Capcom fighting collection with like a version of Turbo Street Fighter Turbo and the Darkstalker games and a few others.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like I like the aesthetic of Darkstalkers and I would love to like play that with somebody. But yeah, more more older games that are inaccessible coming to like modern consoles.
Oh yeah.
Best form of combating piracy. Just let me buy your game. But yeah, after that, big news. We got Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Mario Party.
Yeah, it's
That's it. That's my opinion. Mario Party.
Mario Party. I'll probably hate my friends playing it.
This is probably a Mario Party game we'll all pick up and play, and then we'll immediately hate each other in the first round.
Yes.
I'll probably hate James.
Um, but yeah, after Mario Party, which yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's
Hmm.
Mario Party.
Yeah.
We got a new Zelda game,
Yes. So the Legend of Zelda. What is it? What
Echoes
is the
of
last title?
Echoes of Wisdom.
Echoes of Wisdom. I knew it. Wisdom is in there. So when seeing it the first time, the first few minute or so in it, it's the Link Awakening art style, which I do love. I played the Link's Awakening remake, and I love playing through that game. Beautiful art style, classic Zelda as it can get, and I'm happy to play that game, or at least I got the chance to experience it. To see that art style come over in a brand new Zelda 2D Zelda game, not only that, but this is a Zelda game where we actually get to play as Zelda.
Yo, moms will finally be right for once.
I was saying some of our Zelda friends who are friends who are Zelda fans. This is a missed opportunity for it to be called the Adventure of Link this time. But either way, so in this game, Zelda is not going to have the same combat as Link, where she has a sword and a shield, but she does have magic, and you're actually using this wand that you get early in the game to copy objects as well as enemies to explore the land of Hyrule. And the and Zelda fans have also pointed out that the map looks a lot like A Link to the Past.
Yeah, I saw something else in the like trailer of there's probably gonna be there's like some continuity to it where like we're getting the new what are they called, the merfolk?
Zora, like the two different types.
Yeah, the old design of Azora and like a new design of
Right,
Zora
I
kind
did
of
see that.
interaction. I thought that was like,
That'd be
oh, there's
interesting. I know there are
yeah,
some Zelda fans that are like speculating timeline. I'm kind of in the middle. As much as I would love to speculate about timeline, I know I have a feeling Nintendo doesn't really care that much, so
I
I'm not really concerned.
I think Nintendo's just trying to create like consistency in the oh, what are their names again?
Link and Zelda,
No, the fish people.
Zora.
Zora, and like their designs.
Mm.
That's why I like thought of it. But yeah, the game looks really interesting. Funny thing is, Nintendo's like extremely like family friendly like image kind of just is so funny when you realize that Zelda's doing necromancy basically.
Yeah, in a way, but just I do think it's cool. I I'm really curious if how dungeons are gonna work.
Yeah,
Because are they going to be as so open like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were, to where some of the dungeons were too easy to beat, or is there going to be a way that there are limitations in dungeons, but you can still have the creativity that you want? That I'm like iffy about because I prefer classic Zelda design and storytelling where it's all linear and dungeons and puzzles have a set path. Either way, I do want to check out this game because it's a new Zelda game. Not to mention, it's going to be a brand new gameplay concept in the Zelda franchise. And if they could just evoke classic Zelda dungeons, I'll already be happy. But I'm not too critical. I'm not going to be too critical of this game because it is something brand new. And probably once I play it out, we'll probably enjoy it. And right now, just like, yeah, let's see what
yeah,
happens. Something new. Let's try it.
yeah. I am liking kind of how Nintendo's starting to direct Zelda games with their big like console seller Zelda games with like Tears of a Kingdom and Breath of the Wild being like completely like reinventions of the Zelda format in the well 3D Zelda format,
Hmm.
but we're still also getting those top-down Zelda games
Right.
from like the old NES days. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it too.
Is it coming out this year?
Yes, it is September 26th.
Now I gotta worry about Dragon Quest, Mario and Luigi, and this. But either
Yeah,
way, exciting.
yeah. Zelda games
Yeah,
generally pretty good.
I'm I'm a Zelda fan, so of course I'm gonna get this.
Okay. Then after that, we got Just Dance 2025 edition. Eh.
Move on.
Lego Horizons Adventures.
That was revealed in the Keeleys as well, so it looks cool, but not the biggest fan of Horizon series. So
I feel
whoever's
like
interested in that, by all means.
I've played a little bit of Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and I did like a Lego game binge, and it kind of feels like Lego is kind of getting away from like their like traditional design philosophy of their old games
Mm,
into this kind of like near open world type design. It's I kind of like the old format better,
right, the
but
linearity.
yeah. But if you love Horizon Zero Dawn, another Horizon game,
Oh yeah,
but for Square. Yeah,
yeah, Square,
that's
something like that.
uh. We're also getting a port to Stray, which is from what I've seen, a story-based game where you play as a stray cat.
I think one of our friends had played this game.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of gameplay from her. Looks interesting.
Yeah, I don't think this is really my type of game, but whoever's been wanting to play Stray on Switch or just have another chance to play it, except broadly this time, this is the time
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. After that, we got Tales of a Sire, which is
A Hobbit farming sim.
yeah, eh,
Eh.
eh.
It could wow us, Connor. It could wow us.
Yeah, it could wow us, but if
I'll
I want
hold
to
my
play
judgment.
if I want to play Lord of the Rings games, I would like it to have more in common with Dragon Quest than Stardew Valley.
Right.
But hey, some people love Stardew Valley and they want more Stardew Valley.
And
And
we
they'll
know
probably
some people who are very big fans of Stardew Valley.
yeah. Then after that, I was right. Another Ace Attorney collection.
That was one of the predictions you had. You said a new Ace Attorney game would be announced, but honestly, I would still take the W because Ace Attorney did show up in some form.
Yeah, and honestly, the second game in this collection hasn't been translated into English. This is like its first official time being in
Hmm.
translated.
And here I am just getting into Ace Attorney, and then this shows up.
Hey, but here's the thing. They don't got any more games to make collections out of. Every game's on the Switch. Therefore, Capcom just throwing this out there. Ace Attorney 7, like once I played all of your games you just released. I just now got back into the Great Ace Attorney. I was playing that an hour ago
Mm.
before this recording. But yeah, Ace Attorney Investigations following uh antagonist slash protagonist Edgeworth Wright, the prosecutioner. Yeah, love a good Ace Attorney game.
Well, once I get through the other Ace Attorney games, I will check this out.
Yeah,
Because I know I do want to own Ace Attorney eventually. Right now, I've just been playing it through Game Pass.
yeah, yeah. If you ever think of getting into Ace Attorney, I would suggest going through the main six games into investigations into the Great Ace Attorney. But yeah, after that we got Romancing Saga 2.
I've heard this is a remake of a Japanese game that didn't get ported over to the West. I don't know anything about Romancing Saga, but I do know that there are some fans out there that have been wanting this.
Yeah,
It looks interesting, but it didn't really like light my fire.
it didn't it didn't wow me.
And maybe maybe if more information gets released, or maybe even a demo, just like with Farmagio, I'll probably try and see if it catches my attention again.
Yeah. Then finally, the last game,
The biggest
the,
announcement that people have been waiting for so long, specifically Metroid fans.
the elusive Metroid Prime 4, which we got some gameplay, uh, a frame of what year it'll probably release in, and a subtitle. Metroid
Or
Prime
5
4
4 Beyond.
Dawn.
This game looks sick for running on a Switch.
Yeah, people are like joking around of like the usual jokes of the Switch exploding running Metroid Prime 4. As
This has gotta be a Switch 2 game.
yeah, it's one of the it's my main argument for why for like
Why
why
they're
they're
doing cross backwards compatibility for both Switches, or
yeah, because
potential Switch 2.
yeah, they wouldn't like drop this on like the last year of a console. They would have just waited it out and used this as its like headline for the Switch 2.
Here's another interesting fact I came across. I was listening to another Nintendo podcast that was talking about all this. I think it was from one of the people from, what are they called? Digital Foundry. Sorry, Digital Foundry actually looked at the gameplay deeply and saw that there were reflections in the game too.
Oh.
So if there is reflections, there's gotta be a Switch too.
Yeah, like
Unless they made reflections in the Switch, but if the Switch could do reflections this entire time, I would be surprised. But
that would be some wizardry
oh yeah, that
in
is
those.
Nintendo tech right there.
But yeah, officially announced in 2017. Uh,
And all we know was it was a PNG, and it started over development and went back to Retro Studios.
I knew it like it was a lot of internal like affairs happening within it.
Right.
Probably caused it to take this long.
Mm-hmm.
But from the looks of it, it looks like it got its legs on the ground and started rolling in that ball form.
Yeah.
More ball.
And with me having Metroid Prime remastered, this is a perfect time to finally like get that game back up and running because it is coming soon. Maybe there still will be Metroid Prime 2 and 3 coming, but as far as I'm aware, I got the first one, play that, and maybe I'll enjoy Echoes for, not Echoes, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond for what it is, regardless.
Yeah, Metro Prime 4 is like gonna be their big game next year.
I really do. It may be, because here's the other thing about that, too. There was a lot more commotion in this, because in Metroid Dread, and from what I played a little bit of Metroid Prime Remastered, there is not a lot of civilization or a lot of people you would find. In
Yeah,
this game, you actually saw NPCs in front of you that interact and whatnot.
this felt like an actual kind of like war kind of going on.
Yeah,
An actual like pirates raiding a settlement.
right, because in previous games you would find what will happen afterwards. In this one, it seems like you're actually being a part of it.
Yeah, like always has like Metroid fans kind of had a drought throughout the kind of like Wii and DS era of Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of glad Metroid's finally kind of like being pushed forward as Nintendo's like action game. for like kind of more mature audiences. I wouldn't say mature because
It's
it's
not
still
mature because it's not the what is the rating on this game? It's literally rated teen,
yeah,
and
but like
but then again, their mature franchise is Bayonetta.
yeah, and when I say like mature, like kind of like for older like audiences
Yeah.
instead of just kind of like this all-encompassing like family of all ages, which I kind of do think is a good choice of having that kind of diversity within your game pool.
Mm. But very much looking forward to what Prime 4 is going to turn out
Yeah,
to be.
and that's for direct.
Yep.
And another elusive game was shown, Silk Song, all throughout E3. I
I
had
don't think
no
it
idea.
exists. I don't think it's real.
I think they accidentally Control Alt deleted on the game, and they were like,
Shit.
let,
Yeah,
let's kind of like drag this out so they don't
yeah,
figure it out.
yeah. Honestly, I don't know what's going on with that game. There is Gamescom because it could be announced there, but
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think it's through. I'm not sure if it's going through development hell. I think it's just going through
they're
just.
taking their time because I would go back to the Nintendo Switch eShop and Hollow Knight is still in like the top 10 or 20 best bought game on Nintendo eShop.
Oh,
Still.
I've never finished Hollow Knight, but I can play on my Switch at any time, and I just have constant access to it on my Xbox.
Mm.
I think I bought it for my Xbox too.
I got it on PC. I probably will buy it on Switch.
Yeah,
But I just know the developers can take their time because fans are. I do hate that fans are waiting for so long, but if they're taking their time to make this the best sequel, then it's not going to be a huge worry. It's just a matter of when, and it's been
yeah.
years.
I'm just bringing it up because I do agree that they should take their time with it, but it now has officially took over the Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4 curse of games that are announced, but we
Way
know,
too early.
yeah, way too early.
Oh, another game you can add to the list: Everwild from Rare. Apparently that's a game they've been working on.
I Has it been in development for 14 years?
I don't know how long at this point. It was announced in 2020, and we still have no sign of it.
I remember there's some like I think it's Square Enix game that's been in development hell for 14 years. It has like some pig dude in it, and I don't think that game exists at all.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I forgot about it, and then I saw like some news of like vaguely similar
Oh,
images to
Square Enix? I think you mean Ubisoft, Beyond Good and Evil 2.
maybe that's it. Hold on.
It's a pig that got this golden statue with the red rubies in the trailer. It had a monkey and a black woman riding on this like space thing. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Yeah, that's another game. I'm pretty sure that doesn't exist anymore. Like they canceled it.
I I feel like Ubisoft is did actually control alt delete it and like I don't know where.
Then again, Skull and Bones eventually came out, so
Oh yeah,
so
but yeah,
it could come out too. But overall, what would you give this Nintendo Direct on a scale to, let's say, 1 to 5? 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest.
I'll give it a 4 because it had incredibly high moments. But there's also just like kind of like game, like the Funko Pop game
Mhm.
and like the like IP license games that don't really feel like they're doing anything with the license. It just feels like a game genre, but with the license of a skin,
Right.
which some people like that, which completely fine.
Disney Dreamlight Valley is a good example.
Yeah,
Animal
but
Crossing with Disney characters. That's not a bad idea.
yeah, it sounds like
Marvel Rivals. Overwatch with Marvel characters.
yeah,
Not a bad idea either. Just, you know, same
yeah,
game with different skin.
yeah. But yeah, overall the direct was good.
Yeah.
Um, we got
For our since our expectations being so low and not really expecting much, this was a very good and surprising direct. New announcements, giving a lot of games to give like a good send off to the Switch. If the Switch successor is coming in 2025, early 2025 per se.
well, I'm right. I thought they were gonna probably announce it this year, this direct. They might announce it early next 2025, then it'll be released for holiday season around
Mm.
then. But yeah, like this does feel like we're going out with a bang on the Switch.
Yeah, I would rather it be that way instead of it just being port after port after port. Like go
Yeah,
out with a bang and then immediately come to the next console.
yeah. And I feel like even with the Switch 2, if it's not backwards compatible at all, which it might be, I
I
still think I still think people will make stuff, import stuff for the Switch.
mm,
Just
yeah, because it has such a huge fan base, and maybe some people are not ready. It That's the case that their Switch library doesn't transfer over to Switch 2, and people are not ready to move on to Switch 2 just yet. Some people would say, just like the same thing with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 audiences, people still play with PlayStation 4. Today I went to Walmart. Somebody was looking for a PlayStation 4 in the game aisle. I was like, "Yep, people still want that."
honestly,
And
if the dream is if I could get a PS4 for $90, like the dream, I can finally like just get a PS4 and get Bloodborne and finally play it.
if I was you and I got PlayStation 4, I would get Bloodborne same as you and Shadow of the Colossus remake. Those are the two
Oh,
games.
yeah, yeah, just two games for one like $90 console.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but overall,
but
my rating of this direct, I would say maybe a 3.5. I know that sounds negative, and I'm not trying to make it sound like it. This wasn't. I wouldn't say like this is the hypest direct I ever been. The Nintendo Direct of 2019 is like peak Nintendo Directs for me. This one, it has some great games on it, some stinkers here too, but it was a lot better than what we initially could have gotten.
it felt like kind of formulaic, like bunch of like IP shovelware games,
You mean
ports.
like some of the games that were in there aside from the new ones?
Yeah, like ports from the like phone games,
Hmm?
like IP games that probably won't last long. Then we got um ports from like older Nintendo consoles. Then we got like I think one in they kind of like had three like big titles.
Hmm.
And that kind of feels like the formula of Nintendo Direct. Start off with like a big announcement. We get through like some ports and like some other like third party games.
Hmm.
Then the next big announcement, and then end off with like a big announcement.
Hmm. Again,
It's
just that I I don't think 4 out of 5 because it just didn't reach me to like hype levels, but I do think this was extremely solid, and it's probably the best direct we could have gotten compared to what how badly it could have been.
yeah, like just how nothing that this could have like been resorted
Like we
to.
could have just watched this, saw like a terrible direct, and move on, and we are all every Nintendo fan or people who enjoy games in general. It's just like, yeah, we're waiting for the next Switch, so kind of
Yeah,
kind of a stinker, but we'll move on.
but it does feel like Nintendo does have a year through. they have like something through the holidays to get them through.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I think this will wrap up the second episode of Nerd's Eye View. Knockoff A3 with the final publisher Nintendo coming in pretty hot. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it exists.
It,
Metro Prime 4, it
it,
exists.
and it's coming soon. And we're getting new JRPGs and a new Zelda game.
I might have gone through college before Metro Prime 4 released.
So, now seeing the Nintendo Direct, does your anticipated game change or is it still the same?
Uh, I still have like Doom: The Dark Ages is just it just looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these games that were announced here, like Dragon Quest, Ace Attorney, Metroid Prime,
Zelda
or
Echoes of Wisdom.
Zelda, I will try them out
Mm-hmm.
and play them, and they'll probably be great games.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Doom: The Dark Ages and Avowed and Ace Attorney is probably like the top three right now.
Yeah, I think I would say Aval like you, and it would also be Zelda Echoes of Wisdom because I do want to give that a shot, and Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake.
Yeah, those two will be like in my top
Oh
10.
dang it! Forgot about Mario and Luigi. I just ran on a whole rant about hey, I want one back. I didn't even include it in the list. Damn it! Say,
But the most difficult
I
choices.
know Dragon Quest 3 remake and then Mario and Luigi. Like I want to have both, but I know like if I had to get them at launch, like I can't. I'll add Mario and Luigi Brothership as a fourth. Those are four anticipated games for me.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just games on yeah, bootleg E3. Just
Yep.
came and went.
Well, that'll be the end of today's episode, and we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.
See ya.